Give me a thumbs up, peeps, if you can hear me. Hear me. I ain't talking. Don't worry. No one wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, what's happening, Petey? Happy Friday.
Yes, you too. Speaking of Aaron, what's up, Aaron?
What's up? No, actually, funny you said it because I just wanted to come up to ask you about your take on all that. He sounds like a bitter ex, if you ask me.
I mean, I didn't like that he said he flew out on his dime. Like, enough. You're rich. You know, there's no need to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Like my whole thing is he acts like he was being this. It was a big disrespect to him, but also at the same time, like let's not act like you haven't been disrespectful towards us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I the only thing is, the Jets could have, I guess, sent him off a little better. The guy did do almost everything in a way, you know what I mean? He was supportive for the most part, especially when he got hurt, tried to get back on the field, gave his all, but some of the shit he did was ridiculous.
Oh, I agree. I'm not gonna sit here and act like we were perfect in any of the situation as well.
But yeah, I mean, it's always something with them, always.
I want to know too what the Steelers organization like feels like after seeing and hearing this shit too.
I mean, if I was them, I wouldn't touch, but they're probably going to sign him. Who else do they have? Can you hear me, Aaron? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you. No, I yeah, I no, I hear you. Like I got a buddy of mine who's a big Steelers fan. The one thing I keep saying is, I hate to say it, but you guys just might have to eat this season and go and get your quarterback next year, as opposed to relying on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but the Steelers already have kind of, I mean, they upped the wide receiver room with Metcalf, you know, they have talent. So I don't know if they can afford to, eat that. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, Heck.
Morning,
No,
Pete.
yeah, you're right.
I'm surprised, I mean, I'm spicy about this Rogers shit.
Yeah, I think we all are. It just goes to show what a shitty situation the Jets are. It really does. It's kind of embarrassing to be a Jet fan. And I'm not protecting Rodgers
Yeah,
because he did come off shitty yesterday. But it just seems anything the Jets do, they do wrong.
yeah, and
You
that's
know?
that's on
And
the
Woody's
owner.
I was just gonna say, and Woody's nowhere to be found right now. He said I gave it to my guys and that's it. And you know, Aaron Glenn's getting a free pass right now. He's doing talking, but you gotta win. You
Yeah,
gotta win, or this is all gonna bite him in the ass, his cockiness and everything else. You know?
I don't think uh, I don't think he has to win this year, but I think the pressure will start getting, heavier on him.
Yep. But we'll
So,
see. Yeah, I mean, we'll know this year if they know what the hell they're doing as far as how the team, at least how they, because it's not about winning. It's about can you see the progress being made? That's what it's going to come down to. I know I ain't going. Of course, I go to one or two games. That that's just because we're all Jet fans. But man, this is rough. This is rough.
yeah, I mean, this doesn't change, the off season at all. It can't.
Right,
But,
right.
it's just another negative thing to talk about.
Nothing. Yeah, you're right. Nothing. It's insane. Jets are insane.
And I don't want to talk baseball. So, it's nice out today, heck, right?
Yeah, yeah. What about Nick's Saturday? Talk
Yeah,
about
I
that.
think the Knicks will win in 5 or 6.
I agree.
A lot of even Knick fans are thinking they're going to lose to Boston. I don't think they're going to beat Boston, but I do think they'll beat Detroit.
Yeah, me too. Oh, if they don't. Oh my God, that'll be that.
Uh,
That will be the end of Tittable.
I do kind of like the Knicks chant, like this whole stuff about Jalen getting knee injections. Like I don't know. If anything goes south with, and I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but if anything goes south for the Celtics, like that could really help the Knicks out a lot.
Oh yeah, Jalen Brown got what, a cortisone shot or whatever.
Yeah, he's been getting shots in his knee.
Yeah, but they're still strong. They got that guy Pritchard. That guy don't fucking miss, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a stud at Oregon too.
that's what the Knicks are missing. The DiVincenzo.
Yeah, but you have to give up players, Hector, in
I
order to
know.
trade.
I
You
know.
know, you have to give up people in
I
order to get.
agree. But they
So,
never they never went and got a really dead eye 3-point shooter to replace him.
yep. But it is what it is.
It's a better situation than the Jets, so I'll take it.
If the Knicks do move on from Tibbs though at the end of the season, or like who do they go after next?
I don't know. Not people want Mike Malone, but you might have to go with fresh. I heard Jerry Stackhouse's name, but who knows? Medic, what's up?
Good morning, folks. How we doing today?
Morning, morning.
It's always the Jets and
So
the negative
what's
news.
so I watched that McAfee interview, and I don't know what side to believe. There's always one side, right? Their side, your side, and the truth, as they say. But uh he's just always looking to throw somebody to the bus. It looks like to me. That's just my opinion, anyway. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's bad. But now, do people really, I think there's no legacy here with the Jets, but now a lot of Jet fans are going to hate him even more.
No, I don't hate him as a player. I just don't like his personality.
Yeah, Medic,
Yeah.
the biggest problem I have is that came on and announced he flew on his own dime. Like, bro,
Yep. And multiple.
like you've made so much money, you're going to complain about that? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. That's ridiculous.
I'm worried about our GM not doing it. It should have been to me. He runs the organization, not
Yeah, but
Aaron
Aaron
Glenn.
Glenn is the face of the team, man.
Yeah, but who's going to make the calls? Is it Aaron Glenn now going to overrule the GM in certain situations? That's a lot of power to give to a guy that
Well,
hasn't won
that's
shit.
Joe and Clark was talking about that yesterday with Glenn.
I
So,
mean, neither
So
of them have won shit technically. So I mean,
right, but one has a title of a general manager, the other one is coach, right?
in my opinion, if the coach runs the team based on with the players, I mean, in some way should have a little bit more say. I think when it comes to about what he wants to do and who he wants, and the GM just either has to agree or disagree, and he could just be like the tiebreaker per se. But I mean, if the coach
This is
feels he
all
needs
about
X, Y,
Glenn
Z on the
making a
field, then
statement.
you should do what you got to do to get that person on the field.
This is all about Glenn trying to make a statement right off the bat here. I'm the new sheriff. It's my
Yep.
way or the highway. It's going to be like this. No more soft, solid days. This is going to be the way it is. I just think he handled it wrong. You could act like that when you're Parcells or Belichick when you've
Yes,
won.
sir.
You can't act like that when you've won nothing. You've never been to a Super Bowl. He calls himself a winner. What does he want? A couple of divisional rounds, maybe? I mean, give me a break.
No,
So I
but
don't
I
want to
mean,
hear all that shit. I really don't. To me, it goes on deaf ear. It's hollow air after a while. Because if they don't win, oh my God, he's going to get lambasted. They're going to
Yeah.
come after him. You can't talk tough. You just be yourself, man. Don't try to be, him and Muji together. I mean, the way Aaron Rodgers described it is they sat down for 10 seconds. He gets up, he walks out, he comes back with Muji, and they ask him, so Aaron, do you still want to play football? He goes, yeah, I definitely still feel like he goes, well, we're going in a different direction. And that was it. There was no give and take. It was totally, planned, premeditated, like they made him fly out there just so they could say publicly, look what we did, man. We put our foot down. We don't
I
want
don't
this
think
guy.
that's
We're
what
going to
happened,
protect
Hey,
him.
hey,
Joe.
hey, 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 Joe,
I don't believe a word he says.
Hey, Joe. To be fair, I'm with Medic on that. Think about something. He said he asked him, do he want to play football? He said, I'm interested. Either you all in or you're not.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah,
type of
that's not
shit
a
is
good answer.
interested?
Well,
Hey,
I
but let
just
me
think
ask, let me
I
ask.
think Glenn's got a chip on his shoulder, so he's got to be,
Right,
he's probably a little insecure. He's got to act like a tough guy a little bit in the front,
right.
so people think, well, this
When
is going
I
to be different.
when I
He's
say
been like that with
Detroit
he's been like
Lions,
that with the media too. He got a little. If you listen to some of it when he first got hired, a couple times, like when he was talking to Samini, he got like acted like he's won before, like he's been here 10 years, he's won
right?
divisions. Give me
He
a
just
break.
knows the New York media, Joe. That's what it comes down to.
Okay,
He's
Yeah,
not
but
going to
he's
be
hold
got to
on.
bullied by
win,
them.
man. All this looks
When I
bad though if
say
you don't win. It looks worse if you don't win.
right,
All this stuff he's
right.
always
When
big talk.
when I say Detroit Lions, what comes to your head?
The
Winning
coach
What comes to
Campbell,
your brain?
Barry
Campbell.
right
Yeah,
Sanders.
now.
offense, offense,
Oh yeah. Oh,
and
absolutely,
offense,
absolutely.
offense.
I mean, how about the
Nothing
game they
about
played against They
defense.
played against Buffalo
Nothing.
this year.
Aaron Glenn
They
doesn't
lost
pop up.
55-51. They lost to Buffalo this year, a game.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn doesn't pop up when you think of Buffalo.
No,
You
man,
think
come on.
you think of teams. There's a coach that always stands out that comes to your head. The offensive coordinator for Detroit. I don't know his name. He pops up in your brain.
Yeah,
Not Aaron Glenn. Fuck's he done?
no,
And
that's for
I
sure.
liked him when he played for the. You know.
Yeah,
So didn't you rather him just be quiet, not say nothing, and be pushed around by the New York media and just be complacent and like kind of like Salah was? Like, I mean, what do you want? I mean, the
Oh,
guy's got to
this he should
be
have let.
himself, and that's who he is.
He
I
should
didn't
have let
want
That's
the
to
how
hire.
he was
I
in
GM
didn't want him
Detroit.
handle
hired
it.
Detroit players
anyway.
have said that. This is
He
what you're going to
should.
get, and that's what we got.
I think he should have had the GM handle it. That's what I think. Or for that matter,
Well, maybe
maybe
they
they should.
talked and they
Nah,
already had it handled,
nah,
and
hold on.
he just
All
gave him
right,
the final word.
let me just
How
say this
about if
real
that
quick.
coward Woody, who
And
flew
get
to sign Aaron, how about if that coward Woody would have handled it?
Well, Woody's not
He's
going to
doing
do
it
that.
because
I
he's a
think,
coward.
well, yeah, I mean, they don't handle anything right. Let's be real.
But he
Either
was so involved
Jones.
in getting Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers.
Jones got his hand up.
I
I don't
think he
Yeah,
see it.
did owe it to
yeah.
him.
Jones got his handle for a minute now. What up,
Jones.
Jones? What's going on, brother?
Yo. I just want to say this is all bullshit, man. When Rogers stepped in here, was swinging his dick around and didn't care about what anybody else had to say, wanted to change plays. We was all like, whatever. Salah's a softie. Salah's a bitch. He's getting smothered by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers flies to Pittsburgh. He treats one of the greatest coaches in history, Mike Tomlin, doesn't even give him an answer and just waves them off like, you're Mike Tomlin. Who cares? I do this on my own time. Who the fuck cares what Aaron Glenn's history is? Who the fuck cares about all that other stuff? He said, do you want to play football? Roger said, yes. We're going another direction. Simple as that. Maybe
Agreed.
Moogie is the
Agreed.
good guy and Glenn is the bad cop. Moogie is the good cop. Who cares? He came in here. He said, this is where we're going. This is the direction we're going.
That's easy to do.
Go,
That's
go
the easy part.
Go on and
Now
do
prove
your
it.
business. We're doing ours. We're done. I don't think it
Right.
gets no
That's
easier than
fine.
that.
That's fine. But now he's got to do it.
Yeah,
Now
but
he's got to
Hector,
Why?
do it.
hold up,
Now,
hold
hold
on.
Agreed.
on. Hold on.
Yeah,
Now he
I
doesn't have
can't.
a 50-point-a-game offense protecting his
I,
ass. He was,
I
how many
can't
guys here
believe
wanted him as, hold on. Who
that
wanted, June, hold on
that
one sec. Who wanted him as the head coach? How
I
many guys
wanted I
in this
wanted
thing wanted him as
experience.
the head coach?
I
yeah,
wanted experience. I wanted
hey,
experience.
hey,
Yep, yep.
hey, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I agree 100% with Jones. 100
I agree
percent.
with him too. But what I'm saying is, let's not come in here and say that this is the guy that we wanted as our head coach and that he's doing this. He's doing the
No,
easy part right
he
now.
wasn't the first choice for
You know
most
what I'm
people.
saying?
Like
No, I
He
my
was
wanted
like a
first
Vrabel.
second
choice
or
was
third
great.
choice.
Yeah, yes. Now hear me out 1 second. When they asked him if he wanted to play football and he says, "Yeah, I'm interested." Come
He said
on.
he's
You got
interested.
to
Right,
That's not an
exactly.
answer I want to hear.
Yeah, let's get all
Right.
Facts,
right, let
Petey.
the well,
Get the
yeah,
shade.
Shade and then Fan. What up?
Good morning, guys. How you
What's
doing?
up?
What's up?
What up, shade?
What's going on? No, I 100% agree with Jones. Like, to me, it's like, come on. Honestly, since Rex Ryan, no disrespect to any other coaches, we have nothing but soft ass coaches come in and out of this building. We had one dude that's been in the minute 5 minutes before he actually walked in. You know what I mean? Like, I have zero issues with that because he said, like, just like what you said, June, he said, I'm interested. I'm interested. Like, are you out your mind? Like, I would have said the same thing. Like, hey, man, we good. Like, we're good. Because I needed you to come in here. How we doing this? Like, what we doing? I'm in. Nah, I'm interested. Like, you still got to think about it.
I don't want to
How do you
defend
know they
him.
weren't so
Rodgers,
set
if
with
he
moving in
showed
the right
up,
direction? How do you
if
know
he
if they
wasn't,
so
Because right now a lot of people are already kind of siding with what Rogers is saying, and we know for a fact you got to take what Rogers says with a grain of salt. So for him saying, oh, 15 seconds, I'm like, bro, they came in, they started talking to you. You probably was blanking on them for the first 20 minutes. And when they said, yo, what's up? And you didn't like what they said, that's when he started paying attention and didn't like what they had to say. Because he even said it. He was like, oh, you think I'm going to undermine you? Yeah, because you done it everywhere you went. You got rid of, what's his name?
Everywhere.
What
Everywhere.
was his first coach? I forget his name. Uh,
McCarthy. Mike
McCarthy.
McCarthy.
Got him out of there. You knew as soon as McFleur, whatever his name is, was in the building, they were bumping heads. Look what he did to Salah. So yes, Glenn was like, "Yo, I can't have you undermining me, especially year one when I have to lay my foundation how I want the team built. No way."
I don't think he'd
Facts.
want to win though right away. You don't want to go in there and go 3-14 first year. Well, at least with the Rodgers, you have a better chance of win right away. You know.
Nah, that's facts. But I just think we're making too big of a deal of it. Like it's too like he said it. Who cares who said it? The coach or the GM said it. That's all that matters. We're moving on. And Rogers, that didn't even have to come out. Rogers put that out. That did not have to come out.
That's a
That it,
fact,
that
bro. That's a big
none of that
fact.
information had to come out. Literally.
And
He felt
you
he
don't
had
know
to
his
do
answer.
that.
Their answers might have been based off what his response was to that question. That's why he was so quick to fire off.
And when I
If he
hear
Yeah.
said we're all in, let's go do
and
this, then fine,
and
let's
that's
Yeah,
go on
wait,
and
wait,
be
wait.
on board
Hold on,
about it.
hold
But
on. Before we go on, let me just get this thought out. That's what I do like about this regime with Glenn, though. Nothing's leaking. He's not going to say what went on. You know what I'm saying? Like I
facts.
like that about
I
Glenn.
don't want Glenn running the draft. I hope our GM runs
Well,
the freaking
Hector,
draft.
he's
Oh,
a
that's
scout, though.
a
He's a
duo.
scout.
He's a scout.
What?
Yes, that's
he's
where he
been
Yeah,
through all the
started.
that
ranks.
before
When
he became a
Yes.
the
coach, he was a
Yes.
interview,
scout.
He
the
was a
interview I
scout for
saw
the
when he
Jets.
started playing football, started coaching, was he wanted to be treated like anybody else and come through the rankings like anybody else. So he started as the very bottom and worked his way up. So yes, he was in the scouting department.
That was Parcells who told him to do that.
And not to mention, PD, when when I hear I'm interested, that means what can you do for me? That's what
Yeah.
that's
A
what that
hundred
Yeah.
means.
percent, 100%.
What
Yes.
can you do?
Yes. That's what it
What can you do
was.
for me? If he would have
Yeah.
said, man, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to fall in line with your routine so we can be successful. If he says something in that matter, I'm like, okay, but I'm interested means, hey, I'm willing to play if you're willing to do some stuff for me and you take some of my things. Like it wasn't none of that. It was I'm interested, which means what can you do for me?
Right. And look, even after that, look what he's doing to Pittsburgh. Are you kidding me? Like, do you really want to go through that shit? And now look, he did an interview and everything. And still didn't say whether he was gonna play for Pittsburgh or not. Like, come on, I'm done with this guy.
Yeah. People are wild right now saying this.
You imagine if you would have had us still like right now, like pulling us along still,
Yeah,
like a week before the
Shay,
draft,
we would only have. And listen, I was okay with Tyrod starting, but we would have just had Taylor. We wouldn't have had Fields.
dude. We would be a laughing stock right now if we were still waiting
Yeah,
on
that's a
Rock.
fact. That's a fact.
I think we
But
have a better
That's a
chance
fact.
of guys still winning with Taylor. I'd rather play Taylor than Fields. If you want to win, because I think he's a better pass. I'm sorry, but right now in his career, he's a better passer than a thrower of the ball. Fields is not a good thrower of the ball. You can say whatever you want. He's not. He's just not. He's much more. He's more athletic. He's stronger. He's not going to get hurt like Taylor always gets hurt. But if you ask me a question, you saw last year when Taylor came in. Every time he came in, he moved the team. Every time he came in last year, he moved the offense. He could throw the ball better than Fields. So if you want a better chance to win, I mean, I would make it a competition, but they already gave the job to Fields. But plus the money they gave him, of course, they have to start him. They give him $40 million. So
But that's the thing. I don't think Glenn's scared if by week 4, Fields is just not the guy. I have zero doubt that Glenn's going to sit him and put Taylor out.
yeah, I hope so. Taylor deserves. I mean, he's been there now. He's a good soldier. He was there last year. Basically, I still think he could play, man. I mean, like I said, if you want to win games, I would rather. I trust Taylor. If my life depended on it, I trust Taylor. The problem is he's brittle. That's the only thing. But he could play. The guy could. He could
he's
win
a
you games.
professional, Joe.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I like.
Fan,
I
go
always
ahead,
like
Joe.
Taylor.
Let Fan get in here, and then wait, Jetstream. Did you have your hand up? My bad.
Yeah, I did earlier.
All right, sorry, Fan.
Um,
Let's get to Jets.
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
sorry. All
Sure.
right, bro.
It's okay. I enjoy listening to you guys go off on them.
Yeah,
I,
let's go
I agree with a
Mets.
lot of. How dare you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, are you trying to crack on that video?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm just every time the Mets win, Yankee fans are quiet. Anytime the Mets lose, they're all. Go ahead.
Hey,
That's not true, PD. I'm not like that.
hey,
Put us
Because
all
they
in one
hey,
miss
pile like
Soto,
that.
Petey. They miss Soto so much. All the production he's giving the Mets, they miss it. Oh God.
Yeah.
No, I had Mutt fans. I had Mutt fans commenting and jumping in my stream about like mad about the video.
Man,
Whatever.
I
So
called
what you got to
Ben Rice
understand is
last
that
year. Man, Ben Rice is going to be a star. Everybody thought I was nuts.
hell yeah.
He is
Joe,
going.
it's early.
He put on 10 pounds of muscle. You look at an interview yesterday. His neck. Look how bigger he got. He's so much stronger now. That kid is going to be a star. I would take him in a
Rice,
Man, you
heartbeat.
you looking at his neck?
He got bigger. You can see how thick he got. He got stronger. He has a beautiful swing. He always had a beautiful swing. Go ahead.
You guys were. Yankee fans, we don't like think about the Mets. It's like you guys are always looking to anytime you guys have like a good team or some success, you guys start getting big. You start
Mm-hmm.
getting bold and brazen. Yankee fans, the
It's the
Mets,
little kid syndrome.
whatever's going on in Mets world is not even on the Yankee fans' radars. We're
Okay,
just
so
focused on
wait,
us.
Jetstream. So then why is there Juan Soto chance? Why is all this stuff? Like I didn't predict the
Who's
Mets to win the division this year. I think they're going to make the
who's chanting?
playoffs, but
Petey, who's
I'm not
chanting Juan
doing that.
Soto?
You think you're gonna
What?
make the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
No, no. The Mets are a good team. I expect the Mets to win the division. The Mets are good. I don't deny that. I don't. I'm not even. I'm happy for them in a way. I don't hate the Mets. Like it just like to me, I hate the Red Sox. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't hate the Buffalo
Oh,
Bills, but I hate the Patriots. I don't hate the Mets.
yeah.
Petey,
But
I
when
think
you
it's
guys
going
are
to be.
good,
What?
when you
Same way.
guys are good, you guys get ridiculous. Like you're all
I'm
tough
not.
guys now.
Wait.
Petey, I think you got to win the
That's a
division.
fact.
I think
Yeah.
you got to win the division to make the
Jetstream. Can I
playoffs,
just
Petey.
Thank
say
you. Hey, Buckeye, you
So,
100% correct. That's why I said, yeah, you're right.
one thing, guys? Before Jetstream goes on, I'm working on getting Brian Costello this morning, so stay tuned.
yeah, that NL West, Petey, they're going to take all those wild cards.
It's either win the division or you
Go
don't
ahead,
go.
Jetstream. Go ahead, and then we'll get to fan. My bad about
All
the
right. So
Mets.
for just to finish off on the Mets stuff, I mean, I have a feeling of why Yankee fans hate Soto. Not for me personally, it's not that he like went to the Mets because I can't blame him for taking the absolute most money offered, but I blame him for the bullshit reasons that he said he went. Like for me, it's clear as day. He had his best career year as a Yankee. He got to hit behind Judge, or I'm sorry, in front of Judge, and now he didn't want to be second fiddle. That's it. He didn't. He wanted to be the top dog, and with his ego, you're not going to be the best player on your own team until Judge retires. He didn't want that. He wanted to be the king of a team, and he just didn't want to wait till Judge retired to have that. And then 2 weeks into the season, you're struggling, and now you throw low key shade at former fan favorite face of the franchise, Pete Alonso, who's a good dude because you're struggling. Where it doesn't make sense is Pete Alonso was raking. He was hitting 356 with a 474 on base percentage. Like you can't allude to that it's somehow Alonso's fault that he's not protecting you. That's your fault. So that's where it was so disingenuous. But I pointed out to the Met fans on my stream that this ain't the first time Soto did it. He did it in San Diego 2 years ago, and I played the video clip for them, and they had nothing to say because their argument went out the window when I had evidence.
Yeah, well, Jetstream. I don't have a honestly. I think Soto just shouldn't have said anything, but I don't have a problem. He's not wrong. I mean, Pete Alonso is not Aaron Judge. He's not wrong.
He right. I agree. It's not. It's. I'm not saying what he's saying is complete bullshit, but you shouldn't have even said it. Like you can't compare Judge and Alonso. Nobody's trying to. But to put it on your struggles on another man that has nothing to do with it. You're still in the batter's box. You still have struck out more times than Alonso. You're the one who, when he's saying he's not getting pitches to hit, take your walks. He's famous for his on base percentage and walking the most with Aaron Judge in the league, even before he was a Yankee. So why are you swinging at bad pitches? I can understand it would make more sense if you're like, well, my power numbers are down because I'm not swinging at bad pitches. Cool, but guess what? You are. That's your fault, not Pete Alonso's fault. You should have just not said anything. You
Gotta be
should just
honest
been
though.
like, yeah,
Baseball's what, a 70 to 75% failure rate sport, right? Right. So
yeah.
70%,
Yeah.
you're a 300 hitter, 75 two, like obvious math.
Hmm?
It, it's only April. It's only April, man. Right. It's only April. He's probably a 260, 270 hitter. He's probably a 25 to 30 home run hitter. He'll get there. All those numbers will be those numbers. He's going to walk 100 something times. His on base is going to be maybe best in baseball. It'll all work out. It's only April.
I said he'll be just fine. He's one of the best players in baseball. I stated all those facts because it's true. His numbers will be just fine. But I also said I remember back in 2010 when the Yankees got Curtis Granderson from the Tigers, and Granderson had 30 home runs for them. And I said, wow, that's going to turn into 40 at Yankee Stadium. And in 4 years, he hit 41, and then he hit 43.
He,
When he went to the
he
Mets, I
struck out a
said,
lot though.
no, I'm just talking about the power numbers. I'm just talking about that and what what Yankee Stadium can do for you compared to Comerica Park. And then when he went to the Mets, City Field. And I told my Met friends, I said, don't expect that home run production in City Field. And sure enough, he never topped 30. And he only hit 30 once. So now Soto, his numbers are going to dip because 81 games in Yankee Stadium versus 81 in City Field. Your power numbers are going to take a dip. It's just the
Yeah,
way
but
it is.
City.
I told Petey that. I told
Yeah,
Petey that
but that
actually.
but
No, the average. So a ball that gets tracked down in the gap that could have been a home run in the second row in Yankee Stadium, right center field, might get caught. Well, the point I was making about that was the difference in ballpark is going to make a difference in his production. So I said, the Mets broke the bank for Soto, but you're not getting 2024 Yankee numbers Soto. You're going to get a lesser version because of your ballpark. It's just a fact. And 2 weeks into it, he's struggling. He just, he shouldn't have said what he said. He'll be just fine, but it was more like if the going gets rough, he'll throw the team under the bus because he did it in San Diego. So
Mm-hmm.
I just had to point out a fact. It happened.
Terrence, we can't hear you that good. What are you saying?
I can't hear Terrence at all.
He's a
Yeah,
man.
Terrence is muffled
Yeah,
for
but
me.
He
it's not. To me, it's just like it's clear as day. So it's not like
Yeah,
I had to
yeah.
I'm a baseball guy.
Me too. Eh,
Jetstream, how many home runs did Soto have last year?
42
40, 40,
Yeah,
41,
but
41.
that's not even
and
his
42. That's not even his
that's not
numbers,
his
right?
norm. He's a
No,
he's a
all right.
30,
27 to
Let's
35
30,
guy.
30.
let's get
Right.
let me get to let
Yeah,
me get
yeah.
to fan real quick, and then we'll get back to this. By the way, at 9 o'clock, Brian Costello's coming on. So
Cool.
Hey guys, sorry, I'll jump in real quick.
it's all right.
I wanted to
Sorry
talk.
about the wait.
No, all good. I want to talk Rogers, but real quick, I'll connect it to the Mets and baseball here too. I was happy to hear what Aaron Glenn did because you know players need to be coached and they need to allow the coach to do what they need to do. And so, when you look at the Mets, we are just talking about them. The pitching lab is a big thing that has been going around, and part of the reason why it's working is they're getting guys who have no other choice but to listen and to kind of fall in line with what the organization wants them to do. When they had Verlander and Scherzer, you're not going to pay the top dog money and then say, oh, by the way, we want to change who you are as a pitcher. They're just not going to do it because they're established. They're veterans that have made their money, and they're not going to really buy into it as much as maybe a Griffin Canning would. So with Aaron Rodgers, you know, Aaron Glenn needs to set an identity. He needs to set a culture. And Aaron Rodgers was never going to buy into anything that Aaron Rodgers didn't want to buy into. So they needed to get rid of him right when they walked in the door. And the idea that Aaron Glenn made his decision 6 seconds into the interview, I mean, guys, watch the tape. Aaron Rodgers for 3 years has been a broken loser. Like, I know he's a Hall of Famer, but the reality is on the tape, he is old, he is fragile, and he isn't who he once was. A year ago today, we were wondering if he was going to run with RFK for VP. Like, the guy is who he wants to be. And Aaron Glenn is a coach who establishes, dominance and establishes this like I am the boss. You're
Fan,
gonna
can I
listen.
just comment on that? I mean, we knew he wasn't going to run. Come on.
No,
Yeah,
no,
but
no.
Even
I
the fact that
understand his point. I
yeah.
understand his point. I'm not mocking his point. I'm just saying he was playing football. Go ahead. Fan, you threw that one in. That was a good
The,
one.
the,
No, but
but, but, but
the
but he's
point
right.
though,
He's 100% right.
the point though is not so much is he going to run or not. It's always about him and what he's doing to distract from his on the field production. Like there's always a talking point about Aaron Rodgers for the past 3 years, and it very rarely is what is he doing on the field. And so to me, it's almost like he creates these distractions to mask his production, because it's insane to think that this guy is going to give us a better chance to win. And when you look at Detroit, they traded Matthew Stafford, and it was a great trade for both organizations. But Jared Goff was a quarterback who, again, going back to this analogy with the pitching lab, Jared Goff was a quarterback that had to kind of buy in, where Matthew Stafford is a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback who wouldn't fit that creative mold. He's, a gunslinger. Jared Goff comes in and he buys in immediately because he knows his career, his reputation is on the line now because he was being laughed out and run out of LA. So the other thing I just want to throw out here, and I'll shut up and listen to everybody. I appreciate the conversation. Is Aaron Rodgers said, I'm surprised they didn't even want to pick my brain. Well, first of all, Jamie Sherwood was signed long term. Garrett Wilson's still here. Brees Hall's still here. On the defensive side, you have Sauce Gardner, and both Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner are showing up to these like not training camps, but the
Voluntary.
non-mandated OTAs and everything like that. Who wouldn't have been doing that is Aaron Rodgers. He would.
Him? Nope.
And
That's a
so
fact.
so the idea that we need him to pick the brain to learn what we could do right, that's such a unintended shot at the veterans and the players that are still there that were given long-term contracts like Sherwood, and guys who probably will be given extensions by the end of the year, which is Sauce and Garrett Wilson. So to me, good riddance, and the idea that he guarantees a better record next year. Look at Jordan Love with the Packers. They went up and up once he left. The idea that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers from 5 years ago is just a fallacy.
Very well said.
100%, fan. 100%.
He's a
100.
sociopath, man.
Yes, he is.
That's his
A
problem. He's a
narcissist.
Can
It's
I
never
say
sociopath.
his
Yeah,
something
fault.
about that?
It's never his fault.
Yeah,
The
jump
the
in.
the fact that like his ego is insane because he says like let's pick, they needed to pick his
Pick
brain.
my brain.
Let's
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
let's be honest about this. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
No doubt about it, ever. Like at the same time, he's one of the biggest fucking failures in NFL history. As
Mm-hmm.
talented as he is, and as many
Only one.
times as he's blown it in the
Yep.
fucking playoffs, is insane.
Yep.
Like, think about it. Like, he's awesome. But, dude, when it really mattered the most, you came up goose eggs. You know what I mean? So, like, the fact that you're like, hey, pick my brain, like,
Yeah. Yo,
you know what I
it
mean?
was
Like,
crazy. Yo, that was crazy.
like,
That was
Yeah,
crazy what
and
that's
he
my
sorry,
said.
thought.
just to chime in because I forgot to bring this up with pick my brain. Yeah, they did pick his brain, the old regime, and they brought in Alan Lazard. How'd that work
Mm-hmm.
out, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, and the idea of,
Absolutely.
oh, you flew me across, or I had to fly across country.
Randall
Well, you know
Cobb.
what you also did? You threw Mike Williams under the bus, and you
Tim
got him
Boyle.
cut, and then you got Devontae Adams in, and you started hand picking guys without getting to know the guys who they were replacing. So the notion of, oh, we owe you everything is just
Well, wait,
absolutely wild.
fan, this makes me think now. I mean, it's obvious now. Is this why the main reason why Garrett Wilson was upset all last year?
There you
I don't
go.
know if it's funny because I know a lot of people say that during his tenure with the Jets, he was a good teammate and everything like that. I'm a high school teacher, so I'm going to be 38 in a month, and I get older, and the kids that I teach, they stay the same age every year. I teach seniors or juniors. There's only so much you can connect with those kids once you get into a different generation. When I was 25, 26, I had a different relationships with the students because I was kind of in that same generation. As I get older, but the students remain the same age, as much as I want to try to stay relevant and connected with the students, it's impossible. And so
But
I
but
think
fan,
as a
who compliments Aaron? It was the defensive players. Where were all the offensive players that talked about what a locker room guy? It was all the defensive players that talked about him.
But the other thing about that also is Aaron Rodgers has already been paid and gotten his money. All these younger guys, they were still on their first contract, and I got to be honest with you. I know he always says in public, I don't know who Diana Rossini is. I have no doubt that Aaron Rodgers was leaking out so much of this information and trying to make it seem like he was the one trying to stop it when he was the one giving it out. Because last year, before the draft, no one knew about Fashanu being drafted, right? That was very well kept with Douglas and Saleh. Before Rodgers got there, Douglas and Saleh got rid of Manish Mehta. They sent him to the moon. And all of a sudden, when Rodgers got here, Diana Rossini popped out of nowhere and had every breaking story about the Jets. Now that Rodgers is, maybe going to Pittsburgh, maybe going to the Giants, who was breaking all those stories? Diana Rossini. So to me, the other part of this is the guy creates the fire so he could put it out to look like the hero when in fact he's the arsonist. So I mean, it is what it is, but I appreciate this stream to hear it.
Yeah, again, if you're just Terrence, are you talking? We can't hear you. It's muffled bad. All right. Yep. Is it me, guys, or was it Terrence? It's Terrence,
Nah,
right?
it's Terrence. Jetstream,
Uh,
what's up, brother?
Yeah, Jetstream. Go
hey,
ahead,
all right.
Mr.
Just
Yankee.
for that's because I piss excellence, bro. 27 world championships. Don't forget it.
That's all right.
Tell him again. Tell him
Uh,
again.
You're close to my age, so you actually saw some World Series. So yeah, you saw a
yeah.
dynasty. But go ahead. You haven't seen recent
Um.
success except for winning and making the playoffs every year,
All right. All right,
which
Petey.
I would sign up
All right.
for
Real quick.
any
Hold
day.
up,
Any day. Go
Petey.
ahead.
Pump the brakes. Okay. So since that Yankee dynasty began, and when I was basically an adult, right, 1995,
Correct.
the Yankees have made the playoffs 25 out of 30 years. That's an 83.3% clip. In that same time span, your Mutts
Yeah, no, but
have made it seven times,
yeah.
which is 23.3%.
Yeah, but you see
So
the Mutts
just
Love the
because
thing.
you guys
numbers.
are
I
good,
love the
but
numbers.
this is the problem.
Hold
Just
on.
because you guys are like on the up and coming and you have some good players and your future looks bright in the moment,
Hmm.
He
this
get
is where
carried
you
away.
guys get all
He get
bravado
carried away, man.
But wait,
for
hold on, Jetstream. Let's be fair here, all right? We just started talking a couple of months ago. This is good, but
I love it.
there's no need for the Mutts comment because then when I clap back, you're not going to like it. I am not putting the Mets. The Mets to me are like the Jets with the Giants. The Giants are the superior organization compared to the
Yeah.
Jets. Like,
Okay.
but
No,
I'm
we just
happy
act
with
like it.
we finally have an owner that'll spend like Steinbrenner. I
Yeah,
love
we
it.
just
yes,
act like it. We
you
need
gotta
you to
watch.
act like it. We need you to act like like the little brother. Stop sitting there, keep sitting there
All right,
Uh,
trying to engage
that's
with us.
I
keep
am
chirping.
trying, yeah, but you don't
This is
call the
funny
little
too.
Know your
brother a
role.
mutt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all right. It's just all right. So
This is all fun, bro. Go
when
ahead.
my
We're
other
good.
Jet fan
Mutts are good dogs,
Yeah,
Pete.
when
I
my
get.
Jet fan
Hey,
when the
Petey.
other Jet fan Met fans called in and it was the same complaint. Oh, why do you call them mutts? Well, you're calling them broke ass
Well,
Yankees.
well,
My
what
one of my
about?
friends calls them the Stankies. It's just banter. It's just I call the Red Sox the Red Sox. I call the
Hey,
Giants the Vagiants. It's just
Yo,
like a
I
little
like
close
that
of
one.
banter.
I like
Petey,
that one. I
Petey.
like that one.
Also, that Yankee 80% for the 20 year Steinbrenner was there had the highest freaking payroll in baseball. It wasn't fair. It's like the NCAA college football. These little football schools going against Alabama, going against LSU, going against Florida State. When they're getting the top recruits, and then you're getting really, players that can't compete with them.
All right.
That's why
Oh,
the Yankees have all those such a great percentage salary cap. How have they done since they evened it out?
okay. So to
Uh,
dispel
we
that,
just went
where
through
everyone in, all
the
right,
whole series.
All right. Go
I'll
ahead.
dispel it for
Don't
you.
care. Still won.
I'll dispel it.
You know,
When
we call
everybody,
the Jets the Wets as in wet wipes because we wipe our ass with them.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Hey,
ladies and
you know
gentlemen.
what
Good
yeah, but
though?
morning, Just.
Wait, hold
that's
on,
funny.
Justin. Good morning. How's the dust on your Super Bowl trophy? There's none. So go ahead. Good morning to you
Hey,
too.
Petey, listen, Petey. You know they're expanding the history of the NFL to include the AFL. You call me a champion, all right?
Yeah. All right.
You
Well,
call me
you
a
still
champion,
haven't
Petey.
won in the AFL era or the NFL era. So
You call me a champion. I'm an AFL champion, Petey. You
And
don't
we're
why?
a
forget
Super
that.
Bowl champion.
1950.
You don't
We're a
forget
super.
that. You know we both
We're a Super Bowl
both our
champion.
championships came way back when. So if we're gonna be historical buffs, you call me a champion, Petey. Don't you forget it.
And
Don't you
you
forget
call
it.
us. You got to call the Jets Super Bowl champions, right?
I don't even call it just, man. I don't even really talk to y'all. I'm just here for you
Yeah,
know
you know
what?
what I did hate real quick, Jetstream, sorry. I did hate when Dustin Keller did that thing on Hard Knocks when he's like toast to the 2010 Jets Super Bowl champs. I hated when he did that. That was the ultimate jinx. Jetstream,
Mm.
go ahead, go back to the mutts.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't take offense to that, Petey. It's just like
I'm good.
sibling like poke
Y-
fun at you.
You know, I really just came up here because I'm so happy to hear a lot of people turning on Aaron Rodgers. That
I'm
guy
not
was a
sibling.
cancer. He was a cancer to you guys, and I'm glad you guys are turning on him and closing turning this final page, closing the book. This was like Aaron Rodgers' last like scratch at you guys. He's clawing like a clawless cat at you guys just to make something happen, just for people to say his name one more time. And you know what? I'm glad you guys are closing the book.
I I
Because
I still think
I
he's gonna. I don't know, for some reason he's gonna play.
yeah, but not for you guys.
No,
That's the
I
point.
mean that's over with.
And honestly, I just don't see like he wants to play for a Super Bowl contender. You tell me what Super Bowl contender right now is a quarterback away.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Jetstream. Let's go get back to this, and then we'll get back to football at 9 o'clock.
All
Brian
right.
Costello will join.
Yeah. Well, I did want to
Pittsburgh,
also chime in
Pittsburgh
on the
this
Rodgers
year,
thing, but
they were a playoff team.
Hector, can you hear Jetstream?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Jetstream, and then Heck, jump in.
I know what you did there. um. All right, and then this other comment now about Yankees. Met fans like to say all the time, Yankees buy their World Series, blah blah blah. Well, there's a thing called revenue sharing, and they always throw that against the Yankees. I feel out of jealousy, but the Yankees make money throughout the years. They take that money, they reinvest it into their team to sustain winning. That's important to George Steinbrenner. Other teams, small market teams, a Milwaukee Brewers, a Kansas City Royals. Look at the Florida Marlins was a perfect example. They make money, the owner puts it in his bank account, and they try to moneyball it, or to a lesser extent. They don't want to pay their players. They become available. Yankees scoop them up so they keep winning. The Mets have that now. They have the new George Steinbrenner and Steve Cohen. So it's going to be real interesting to see how ain't nobody complaining about the contract they just gave Juan Soto trying to buy a World Series.
Mm-hmm.
No, no,
Yankee
no, no.
fans are
It's
mad about
evened
it. Hold
out
on, let me
now.
finish. But there's nothing wrong with it. We understand that. I think the Mets fans should feel blessed. Like, hey, you got George Steinbrenner now. Congrats, you'll enjoy it. But
Right.
we took shit for it for decades. Like, oh, you're buying it. Well, it's not our fault that the Wilpons didn't want to pay anything
Wait, wait,
for
wait, wait,
anybody, and when they did, they paid
wait,
the wrong
wait,
guys.
wait, Murder Dog. It ain't our fault that the Wilpons gave the money to Bernie Madoff, and then
Yeah,
they had
right.
to borrow money from the league just to make
Yeah.
payroll.
Well, yeah, and they get bailed out by them. But like I meant in a general sense, when the Mets did pay somebody, it was always the wrong guy.
But it was,
The Yankees took the profits and put
they
it back
took
in the team, whether
everybody
it
for
worked or
the A's.
failed. The Yankees have spent money on free agents that didn't work out, but the fact is they attempted it. They tried to keep the best team on the field. Other
Giambi,
ownerships wanted the money in their bank accounts for themselves. But now the Mets have Cohen,
Reggie,
who will do it.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that.
Henderson,
I
Catfish
mean, it's like
Hunter.
Boston tried to
Come
sign
on.
A-Rod, right? Before
They
the
signed
MLBPA
everybody.
shut that down?
Wait, what? The
But
Yankees
I don't
did
know.
have everybody, Hector. Yeah, they paid.
Yeah, they paid.
Yeah, the Mets didn't
But
because of what happened with.
but the Mets didn't have the Yankee income.
Yet,
Come
yes,
on.
they did. The
Oh, yes,
Wilpons had
yes,
a
they
ton
did.
of money. They just didn't.
They
I
did.
cannot defend the Wilpons here.
Right.
No way.
Yeah,
They
I'm
they
not defending the Wilpons. I'm
well
not defending the
you.
Wilpons. But nobody could compete with Georgia at that time. Same
They
way,
could
guess
have if
what?
they
Yeah,
wanted to.
the Mets could have a big market. Once again, like he said, you gave money to the wrong players. You gave money.
But listen, you can't just say that to the Mets. You got to say that to all the other teams that
So
were in
No,
the,
because
I
they're not
in
a lot of
baseball.
big market teams. To be fair,
Petey, but it's about winning a championship. So if those teams cannot compete with the Yankees' income,
They're championships.
All right. So let's just go. Let's just diffuse that right here. The Florida Marlins, shortly after being an expansion team, won. What they come in '93? They won the World Series in '97. What they do instead of investing in the young kids that just won a title, they shipped them all off because they didn't want to pay them. Then guess what?
Yep.
Magically, they retooled and won again in 2003 with a new crop of young kids that did it. And what did they do? They shipped them all off. Guys like Josh Beckett, all an ace, went to Boston. They got rid of everybody. They were in prime example. I mean, prime position twice, winning World Series titles, and they got rid of all the kids that did it for them because they didn't want to pay them. The owners wanted to get the revenue from the wins, and they put it in their
But
pockets.
it's different now than it was during the Steinbrenner years.
But so it's different now. But that's when the Yankees were winning their titles in the Steinbrenner years. So during those
Right. What have
times,
they won since everything has more like
But
evened out?
Hector,
They
but to
haven't
be
won all
fair,
those
but
titles.
they've been competitive every year and they make the playoffs. And yes, they do have a high payroll, but their success.
But we're not saying, Petey, I'm not
Wait.
saying that. What I'm
How
saying is they had an advantage all those years.
every
how
team
Stein?
had the
They did.
option to sign players and spend money. Ownerships for all these other teams treated just like it's just no different than like with Woody Johnson. And everyone's like, Woody Johnson sell the team. This is a business for them. Our hearts are invested on it. We're diehard fans for all these teams. We have an
But
emotional
it's a business,
attachment. For them, it's a
right?
business.
Yep.
Listen, if it was if it was like back then with the Steinbrenners era, let's just go to basketball. The Knicks be winning
No,
championships
but
because of
there's
the
a
money
salary
generated.
cap
Hold
in
Yeah,
on,
there's a salary
basketball.
cap.
that's what I'm saying, Petey. But there was any
All right, but
salary cap
Hector, hold on
back
here. When the
then,
Mets had the money, they didn't choose to go get the top guy. They would get the guy. They
Petey.
would get Jason
Stop,
Bay. Who?
Jason
but you're
Bay,
making it
absolutely,
sound,
Jason Bay.
Petey.
You gotta also
You're
remember.
making it sound like if it was one team,
I don't care about all the
it's
other
about
teams. We're
winning
in
the
New
World
York,
Series.
bro.
But that's how they got. That's how they got
Facts.
all their
You know
World
how many
Series.
Yankees? How many
No,
times the Yankees
you
paid
can't
that
That's
say
how
luxury
All
they
that.
right,
got
tax
it.
to have the
guys,
players
I
that
want
they
to get
had?
back
Or,
to.
I
All
can't
right,
say that.
screw baseball
June,
talk.
June. Let me give you three names: Giambi, Reggie, Henderson. The Yankees drafted all those guys, huh? Through that
They
farm
didn't
system,
draft
built them up.
Giambi.
Catfish.
Johnny came from
And
the
Yeah,
Oakland
that's what I'm
no, he
saying,
and,
came.
Petey.
and wait, wait,
Catfish, Catfish
and we
Hunter.
didn't
They were all free
we
agents.
didn't draft Ricky Henderson either.
Nope.
Tho-
I
Came from
know that.
Athletics.
They were
Those
all free
championships
agents,
still
which
look
is
good
what my
All right,
point
regardless.
is.
I don't want to talk. I
Absolutely.
want to talk Jets. All right, no offense. I'm sick of this. It's not Yankees commute. All right,
Of, of course, of course you don't.
so in a few minutes, Brian Cos will join. We'll get back to the Jets talk. We'll talk a little Rogers. Hopefully he comes. We'll talk about the draft. The week
You know.
after. So
Now, look, it's something else that Rogers said that I don't know if a lot of people paid attention to it or not. But he sat there and said that he said I was kind of surprised, but then again I shouldn't have been surprised from what I've seen over the last 2 years. Now he couldn't be talking. He couldn't have been talking about Aaron Glenn because Aaron Glenn just got there. So was he talking about Woody? Because he already said that Chris Johnson is a sweetheart. So was he talking about Jaime or was he talking about Woody?
Woody,
Okay,
No, what he said he wasn't surprised that they went in a different direction. He's surprised of how they handled it because they
right,
had him fly in. Now I agree with
right.
Petey on part of that. The whole when I heard I flew in on my own dime, I was like, "Wait, what? Are you serious right now?" Like that part, I definitely agree.
Right.
But
Ready.
I agree. Like, there's so many layers to this where a lot of people are right in their points, but
Wasn't
there's so much to it.
wasn't he going to the
So,
city for a different reason though? He was already there. He
oh,
didn't fly in
he
for
was
the
already in there.
yeah he
Okay,
didn't fly in
Yes,
for
he
the
was already
meeting. He
there.
was already there.
Yeah. Thank you
okay.
for putting that truth out. He was already
Okay, yeah,
there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was already there. But I mean, Rogers definitely has a character flaw, with the ego, and you guys were right about that. I agree. That saying like, "What can you do for me?" And it probably
Yeah.
would have entailed you're keeping Devontae, right? You're keeping this guy, right? And it was just going to be more of the same. So I totally agree. But the whole 20 seconds into it, like if they knew that I wonder if their mind was made up and just waiting to see how he responded to where they were like, nah, well, we're going to have you as a good bridge, like a stability to keep this going for a year and replace you. Or his response of saying, I'm interested was like, you know what, you're
That's
out.
it. That was it right there. That
Yeah,
was it.
they might have gave him a chance, and his classic instead of saying, because here's the thing for me, was he there when Aaron Glenn got introduced to the introductory press conference? Was he in
No,
touch
no,
with him as
no,
soon as he got hired and said, "Hey, man, let's keep this
no,
going,
No,
see what you and
yes,
Aaron can
yes, he
do"?
no.
was. He said he
Was he there?
communicated with. No, he wasn't there. He communicated.
And right,
He
exactly. He wasn't there.
communicated, and we'll ask Kaz all this stuff when he comes in a few minutes.
Well, that would be my only thing,
Yeah,
Petey. It would
guys,
be like,
Yeah, he's only joining for a half hour today, which is great. But if you have questions, be short and sweet.
Petey, I got a question for June,
Yep.
my boy.
Talk to me, brother.
Okay, so Aaron Glenn, he's pretty much gone on the thing that he's the one that picked Justin Fields. He says because of the way, when he played against him. So if Justin Fields does not pan out, is that strike one?
No, you can't really, because not for nothing. He was the best as far as free agency, right? I'll put you like this: if Justin,
No, he wasn't the best. Sam Darnold was better.
no, but you really gonna judge Sam Darnold for one season, man?
It's better than
You
Justin Fields in all seasons
wait.
combined.
Heck, number one, Sam Darnold would never in a million years come back to New York saying that how he
True,
was treated.
true.
So
That's
so you
true.
take him off the table. So everybody else, what Geno Smith, he would never come back to come back to New York. The way he was treated.
Because the Jets are such a shitty organization. We always go back to square one. We suck.
so,
God, do we suck?
so not for nothing,
And
just
they give us so much material, even on off days,
I mean,
man.
come on, man. We've seen it. We're lifetime fans.
That's what we do. We get these
Yeah,
quarterbacks in, we
Rogers
set them
had
up
to
to
go.
get
He
better,
was a
and then we try to
problem,
bring them
man.
back.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
leave it alone.
we develop quarterbacks for other teams.
All right.
No,
Hang on one
I
second.
think that.
Go ahead, June.
You got cars
Yeah,
ready?
he's in.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Joining us is Brian Costello. Brian, I appreciate the last minute jump in. Thank you, man. How are you?
I'm good, Pete. How you
Are
doing?
you better than Aaron Rodgers?
Probably not, considering he was doing that interview looking at the Pacific Ocean. I think he's all right.
Yeah, Brian, what do you make of all this? Do you fault the Jets at all for this, or where's your stance in all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few things can be true, right? I think if it went down the way he said it went down, right? We only have his version, but no one pushed back yesterday from the Jets saying that he was wrong. I think they probably could have handled it a little bit better. I think if it was truly like he said, and there was like no discussion at all, I think they probably could have handled it a little bit better than they did. But I don't fault them for doing it in person. I think he would have been mad if they did it over the phone. Um, I don't fault them for moving on. I'm pretty heavily on the record as saying I thought they should move on going back to November. I thought that. And this is kind of part of it. It's just there's a lot that comes with Aaron Rodgers, and I thought it would be difficult for a new coach to deal with that and establish his program if you had Aaron Rodgers there. So I think that part of it, I agree with the decision. But I think when it comes to cutting players, it's always dicey, and you could argue should Aaron Rodgers be treated like anyone else? Should he be treated like an undrafted free agent getting cut at the end of training camp, and you just call him in the office and kind of tell him how it is? Did he deserve to have more of a conversation? Should they have picked his brain a little bit? I think you could argue all those things. So, for me, it's not cut and dried one way or the other. I think there's a few angles to it.
Speaking of angles, Brian, I don't know if you can get into this or not, but Glenn's been real snappy with some of the media. Is, that doesn't affect you, obviously, but like it's different than what Salah was. But give me your thoughts on all that. Like, do you think he's gonna like not burn bridges, but some relationships aren't going to be as good as obviously as they were with Salah?
Yeah, probably Pete, but you know what? None of it matters except for winning. Like that's the truth. Like You know what I mean? Robert Saleh had a good relationship with a lot of members of the media, but it didn't help him because he didn't win. And Aaron Glenn can be prickly with the media, or however he wants to be. If he doesn't win, that's going to rub you guys the wrong way. I've seen this happen, right? I remember Todd Bowles is the ultimate example of this, right? When Todd Bowles came in, it was a little similar to right now. He wasn't quite as combative as Aaron Glenn has been, but Todd Bowles was the opposite of Rex, right? We had Rex who was talking to the media, always giving big quotes, and then Todd came in and said nothing. And I remember you guys loved it. He was like, he's the anti-Rex. We love it. He's giving the media nothing. And when it was 10-5 that first year, it was Todd Bowles could do no wrong. It was great. They lose that last game. So some people are now, okay, is he the guy? Then the next year they have a bad year, and all of a sudden Todd Bowles is like non-answers in press conferences started to bother the Jets fans. So it's all about winning, Pete. Like when you're winning, whatever you're doing is great. When you're losing, whatever you're doing stinks. And so that's how it'll go for Aaron Glenn, just like it went for Robert Saleh and Todd Bowles. Adam Gase is kind of a different story. He never really had the positive vibes, but even Rex, I think people were tired of Rex at the end, and they loved Rex at the beginning with the way he acted. But when you're losing, whatever you're doing is sort of viewed as the reason you're losing and part of it. And so I think, if Aaron Glenn wins, everyone's going to love this. If he loses, then people are going to probably get annoyed with him.
Fair enough. Cause I just didn't like that Rodgers. Listen, I went on record, cause I wanted him back. You know that,
Yeah.
but I just didn't want Rodgers to go out like trash. He's going to trash the Jets now, and he always says about oh it was the greatest 2 years of my life, and now he's saying that who's going to feel sorry for him that he spent the
Yeah.
flight to come out here? Like, come on, Brian.
Yeah, I get that. And I don't think he'll trash the 2 years. I don't think he's going to trash. I don't. I could be wrong. I don't think he's going to trash players in the organization. Obviously, he liked Salah. He liked Ulbrich. So he's not going to trash them. It was this. This is kind of an outlier, right? This was a meeting with two guys he never really worked for that went wrong. The one wild card is Woody Johnson, right? I thought it was very noticeable that he went out of his way to praise Christopher Johnson on the interview and said nothing about Woody. So I do think there's a possibility he says something about Woody at some point. Pete, I don't think he's going to be asked about the Jets again unless he plays the Jets, right? So if he does go to the Steelers and they play the Jets this year, yes, that week this is going to be a topic. But I think the next time we hear from Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be when he makes a decision about his future, and no one's going to be asking about the Jets at that point.
Well, we know week one what's happening if he plays for the Steelers.
Well, the only thing is, I heard I did a podcast for one of the Steelers writers, and the Steelers play the Packers this year as well. Not at Lambeau, but in Pittsburgh. So, because I said that, and they're like, yeah, they're like, but would they put the Packers against the Steelers as week one? Him playing the Packers would be kind of even more of an iconic game.
That's true.
Than the Jets. Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Jets game will be a primetime game, don't you think?
I do think that'll be a primetime game, and you have the Justin Fields aspect too. Obviously he only played one season for them, started 6 games, but it'd still be a storyline. I do think that would be a primetime game. It was a primetime game last year.
Yep.
So I don't think the Jets will have many primetime games this year. But yeah, I think that would be one of them.
Yeah, I hope not, Brian. As I attend the games,
Me too.
It was a rough schedule this year. June, you have anything for Kaz?
Good morning, Kaz. What's up, brother?
How are you, June?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. You know you're my guy. I got a quick question real quick, and it's just something like, am I crazy for sitting there saying, I mean, you probably know, I'm sure you know Aaron Rodgers better than I do, but for him to sit there and say, to bring up the fact that they didn't even pick my mind, can you actually see a team letting someone go and then turning right around and saying, well, what do you think we could do better?
I do actually, June. I think that would be a smart way to do business. I think, if you're in any job, right? If like you're leaving a job, you have an exit interview, you could say what they could do better. Now, I do think Aaron did an exit interview with Christopher Johnson, with Jaime. I can't remember if he said Woody was there. at the end of the season. So I'm sure he gave them some suggestions. But I think more June, it's not like what can we do better. If you're Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, you have those ideas already. I would say, what do you think of Garrett Wilson? Right? Like what? And tell me about Garrett Wilson and what you saw behind the scenes. Tell me about him in the meetings. Tell me about him. When you guys were game planning and talking. Like, tell me about Brees Hall. Tell me about Jeremy Rucker. Tell me about Olu Fashion. Like, look, you can think whatever you want of Aaron Rodgers and his opinions and the way he acts, but he's one of the greatest football players we've ever seen. And he's played for 20 years. I do think there is some value in getting his opinion on guys and stuff you can't see. Maybe if you're Aaron Glenn or you're Darren Muji that you haven't seen yet, like how is this guy in the locker room? How does he treat teammates? Pick anybody. But the Jets have a lot of young players, and they have some big decisions coming up to make on those players. Not that Aaron Rodgers' opinion is the be all end all, but I would want as many pieces of information as I could possibly get before I sign someone to a long term contract. And especially, I think this is tricky for Bougie and Glenn because they haven't been around these guys at all. So they know what they are as players from watching film, but they don't know them as guys yet. So I think there is value in it. I don't think you're saying, oh, what do we have to change about the organization necessarily? But I would have picked his brain about players for sure.
Thanks. Curtis.
Curtis, you
Good
there?
morning, everybody.
There
Good
you
morning.
are. Good
Yeah, I'm
morning.
here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kaz.
How are you?
Always good to talk. Doing good. Doing good. It's a lovely Friday. Um, just to piggyback on that, um, they did do exhibit interviews with some players, correct?
Yes.
So would it be safe to say, um, again, and I know nobody's in the building, but if they didn't want Rogers' opinion and how everything broke down, would it be fair to say that a good portion of the team felt like he was a main issue in the team? So when he goes to say, "Hey, they didn't even ask for my opinion," I mean, as a manager, that means like, okay, why wouldn't I ask for his opinion unless multiple people is like, well, you know, when they talk, they probably said something like, "Hey, this was going on, that was going on." Um, and we know how Aaron Rodgers embellished things sometimes too, with truth. He has his truth, but he likes to embellish it sometimes. Wasn't this just like a way of him, you know, getting his last shot before he makes whatever decision he's going to make? And we shouldn't even really worry about this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you guys should worry about it. Like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, I don't think it really changes anything about the Jets right now. He's gone. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much he embellished it, but like my experience is if there's four people in a room and something happens, you usually get four different versions. Like, that's a hard part of my job is finding out the truth of something like that. Like, because everybody kind of has their own perception of how things happen and remember things that are said and differently. So, yeah, I think if we ask Aaron Glenn, and he wants to talk about it, and I doubt he's going to want to talk about this, he would probably have a different version than Aaron Rodgers had. But I do think you could have had a 30-minute conversation with him probably, and just I am of the opinion that guys, that he's achieved a lot in the NFL. He did not achieve a lot with the Jets, but he's achieved a lot in the NFL. I think you probably could show him the respect to talk to him for 30 minutes, get his opinions on things. Now it's up to you how much weight you want to put in those opinions, and if you think it means nothing, it means nothing. But I don't know. I do think I don't feel bad for him that he paid for the flight over here across the country, but he did come in, and why not just have a 30-minute conversation with him? And I don't think there was anything he could have said that would have convinced them to keep him. I think that decision was made, but I do think he could have gotten some feedback on the organization. He is a guy who came from Green Bay, where they've been pretty successful. You could ask him for some stuff about that. What he thinks could be done better with the Jets. There's all that stuff from the report card, the NFLPA report card. things like that. Could the locker room be better? Could the cafeteria be better? Could the travel be better? What about the way we do home games? Like, should the players stay in a hotel? Should they sleep in their bed? Like, just stuff like that. I don't think there's any harm in asking his opinion. So that's all I would say about that.
Right. Before we get to Joe and Clark, so do you, the right move was to let Glenn do this, correct? Now, do you think once Glenn said we're not interested, did the meeting abruptly end?
Sounds like it.
Right.
But
So
well, I
what?
also
You think he just got up and just stormed out of there?
no, no, no. I don't think he stormed out. I just think it sounds like he like from what Glenn Rogers said was like Glenn said was asking about the messaging.
You
Like they
don't
were
know.
worried about how to put the message out, which is a little weird. So no, I don't. I mean, I don't know how it ended, Pete, but yeah, I think it sounds like it could have been handled better.
Fair enough. Brian, before I'm going to get to the Mets season is over at 12-7, and they're in
Oh,
first
Joe
place.
is
Yeah,
Joe
you
and
can
Clark
call on
burning
them.
his Joe and
Go ahead,
Clark burning his Soto jersey yet or what?
Joe. Are you ready?
I'm already using it to wash my car with. Are you kidding me? I moved on already, Kaz. I moved on. What's up,
How
brother?
are you, Joe?
Good. A couple things about this. To me, this just smells like Aaron Glenn. I'm the new sheriff. He wanted to make a statement. He wanted to, say, look, I'm the new sheriff in town. This regime, we're not going to sit back. We're not going to like let things happen like it happened the last 2 years here.
Mhm.
We're moving on. We're putting our foot down. We're going to say right off the bat. I just think, like you said, it could have been handled differently. The problem is he has no equity built in here. I mean,
Yeah.
he want to act like Bill Parcells or Belichick. Fine, let me see the rings, or let me see a win. Let me see him win a game. He came in here telling us all that he's a winner, and he got very like sensitive with the reporters, and with the press conference. Like, what have you won? A couple of divisional games? I mean, let's relax.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I
I don't
I
know.
think
Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
Joe.
sorry.
I think it's a fair point. I do think he's trying to put his foot down. I also think there is a tendency whenever an organization changes coaches, it's I'm going to do the opposite of what the last people did. And so, like, obviously, there's a perception that Saleh and Douglas caters to Aaron Rodgers, and they, whether it's with Alan Lazard and with Devontae and, with Nate Hackett and Randall Cobb and goes on and on. So, okay, we're going to come in and just, we're the boss, like you said, and we're not going to listen to this guy at all. It kind of reminds me, Joe, of Mangini when Mangini came in, and Mangini was kind of like this. Was the
Yeah,
he was kind of the mini Belichick, and
yeah.
I thought Eric, it worked for a year, but I thought Eric really didn't do himself any favors because he just made a lot of enemies, and with
Well,
players, and
and he turned off Woody, and he turned off Woody. Woody turned. I
and
mean, lost, right?
after 3 years he turned off Woody, but like even when he first came in, the players really didn't like him, and it kind of remember he went to war with Pete Kendall, and
Yeah.
he there was a lot of stuff there. So and I've gotten to know Eric better after he was a coach than I wasn't on the beat then. I was on the beat at the very end of him, but Eric's a really funny, like engaging guy. He just didn't really show that. So I hope Aaron Glenn is himself. Like I think that's the biggest mistake you can make when you become a head coach.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
These
what I was
guys
going to
just
say.
they
Yeah.
don't act like themselves. They think I have to be Bill Parcells or I have to be Bill Belichick,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work. We see like that's what's gone wrong with all these Belichick guys is they try to be mini Bill and they're not him. So just be yourself. Like that's what I think is the key to being to this head coaching thing. Is just be yourself. And I hope I don't know. So maybe this is him, but I don't know if he's trying to act a little bit like Parcells right now.
Well, this stuff is good if you win. Like, if you don't
Yeah.
win and you do all this stuff, then it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Then they're going
Yeah.
to come after you, because like you said, if you're not yourself and you're trying to be someone you're not, it's never going to work. It just doesn't work.
Yes.
And I'm sure Parcells is his mentor. I mean, Parcells is the one who told him to be a scout first. You want to be a coach,
Yeah.
you start out as a scout in the scouting department. So I mean, I'm sure he bounces stuff off of Bill still. It's just that look, it is what it is at this point. You know what? He's got to win. It doesn't. This will pass. This will pass. The draft will be here next week, and then we go forward. But I mean, it just, as a Jet fan, you hear all the bluster. I'm tired of bluster. I need results, man. It's time now. I mean, if he doesn't get it done, Woody had to get it right with this Kyer. I think he couldn't get this one wrong. So it's a lot of pressure. There's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on this team.
Yeah,
It
I agree
really
with you.
is.
It's sort of what I said to Pete before. Like this stuff plays well when you're winning. Like if they go 5-0, you guys are gonna be like, oh my god, he's the greatest. He's But if they go 0-5, and he's being combative in press conferences, and I'm not making this about the media. That's just kind of what you guys are gonna see of him, right? Like that's how you're gonna see it. If he's being combative, it's not gonna play well. And so yeah, he's got to. You're right. He's got to win, and I think the underrated part of this too is the 14-year drought. Right. I don't think anyone really appreciates that when they come here. Is that's on them now? And Aaron Glenn has nothing to do with those 14 years, but he is going to have to this year. Like it's if they miss the playoffs this year, he's going to hear about it, and it weighs heavily on this organization. So he's going to feel it.
Thanks, bro.
Yep.
Joe, you're
All right, man.
good.
Have a good Easter, bro.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Before we get to Buckeye, Brian, we're working on a Juan Soto pin for Joe and Clark. Hopefully, I would hope Joe would wear it with his nice tuxedo or whatever he wears. Have you been,
Can he hit a little bit? Can he hit a little bit? That's all, man. Just a little bit, please.
Kaz? Do you think it's an overreaction with Met fans right now with what's going? I know
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
April.
Jets, but
It's April.
and
Yeah.
Kaz, they're in first place and they're not even hitting.
Yes. Yeah. It's April. It's
And everybody
baseball
predicted
is
the Phillies to win too. Like
baseball is a long, long, long slog. As I used to cover it. It's a long. April means nothing. So he'll be, you know, he'll hit at some point. But
Kaz, is it going to be a long season for the Jets? I know the draft is coming up. I want to kind of stay away from that because we're going to talk again
yeah,
and see. But is it going to be a long year, in your opinion?
right now it looks like it. But again, they're not like. Let's see what they do in the draft. Let's see what they look like in spring and training camp. Right. But I mean, I'm just looking at it now, and they have holes, Pete. Like I look at it, and if you're ranking their roster, it's not high at this point. And it's funny. I found myself kind of in a trap. I was doing some drafts, like thinking the other day, and it was like, well, they probably need to address the offense more than the defense because the defense is pretty set. But then I was like, you know what? The defense stunk last year, and like I get in this mindset that they have a good defense, and I forget they really didn't play that well last year. How much of that was Ulbrich being kind of distracted once he became the head coach? I don't know, but um, if you're identifying the strengths of this team right now in terms of position groups, it's pretty tough. There's not a lot of them. I think linebacker is pretty good. I think running back is pretty good. Um, they've got two good edge rushers, but not much behind them. Offensive line obviously has one huge glaring hole. So I think there's a lot of holes to fill, and you're not going to fill all of them in the draft, right? Like you're not drafting anything after the second round is pretty much a wild card in the draft, especially as a rookie. So you're not gonna be able to fill all these holes. So I kind of want to see what it looks like a little more, Pete, and see how the schedule lays out too. Do they get a favorable beginning of the schedule? They could build some momentum, or do they get to come out of the gate playing some of the tougher teams? That'll have something to do with it. So it's early to say, but I would lean towards I don't think this is going to be a good season.
Buckeye, go ahead.
Hey, Cuss.
Hey,
Maybe a little rant and then I figure out how to make it a question. But it's hard to empathize with Rodgers. And I'm not saying
yep,
Glenn and Muji did this right, got this right. But from the time that he came in here and brought a terrible entourage with him and the Egypt thing,
yep,
and I'm just going to be honest, you probably know a hell of a lot more about the leaks than we're guessing at, but I have a sneaking suspicion he had a lot to do with the leaks. And I feel like the two-hand shove, he left a lot of people having to cover up a lot of the stuff that he does. And it's weird. I'll use it's very sociopathic behavior that he does.
yeah,
And he's at the wrong side of his career because when he was the best player in football, and he was that for a long time, I think his antics were accepted, but it's not that player anymore.
yeah. Well, look, like
And
there's always a tolerance, right? When you're a good player, there's a tolerance for whatever if you're a pain in the ass, right? And I actually covered more in baseball than football, But I remember, so I at one point at the Post, my job was to follow Barry Bonds around, right, when he was chasing
Yeah.
the record. So I followed Bonds the summer of '07 and the summer of '08. And, while Barry was hitting tons of home runs, the Giants put up with everything. The minute he got that record, it was over, right? Like they got that record and they didn't bring him back the next year. Barry Bonds could have hit 30 home runs in 2009 and no one signed him because 30 home runs wasn't worth everything that Barry Bonds brought. 50 home runs was, right? So him, or you can look at the other A-Rod, right? Alex Rodriguez, the Yankees swallowed a lot of crap for A-Rod for a lot of years. And then in the end, he wasn't the same player anymore. They were like, all right, you can go home. Like, what did he like? They let him go in like August, if I remember right, So yeah, you're right. And the bottom line, I think, for Jets fans is 5 wins, right? Rogers won 5 games. I know he gets credited with 6 because he technically started that first game of 2023, but I'm not gonna credit him with that win. So 5 wins in 2 years is what you guys got, and I think everyone knew what you were signing up for when they traded for Rogers, and they knew all the stuff that came with them and McAfee and everything else. Um, but you thought, okay, we'll swallow it if he's going to get us to the playoffs. If he can win 10 games and get us to the playoffs, and he ended up winning 5 games. So I get it. I understand. No one feeling empathy for him.
It's interesting though. It's easy to point a finger and laugh at the Jets. They make it easy.
Yeah.
They honestly do. He's not going to get away with that with the Steelers because it's maybe the most preeminent organization in sports. And I'll be honest, the match of him and Tomlin and him and Pitt, it's just like it could be the worst match I've ever seen. It really could. Like he's got a playoff streak that he has had the worst quarterbacks and he still makes the playoffs. It's almost setting up to be Aaron missed the playoffs, broke the streak. We definitely know he's not going to 2-hand shove Mike Tomlin because he'll be in the ground. Like it's a very bizarre. If I'm Pittsburgh, I probably suffer and endure Mason Rudolph before I bring this in, but it
Yeah.
looks like they're going to swing at
I don't know. I
this.
mean, it's taken a long time though. I don't know if it's going to happen. I find it
Wouldn't you think
odd.
though, Kaz, that that's what he should be talking about on McAfee?
Yes.
About like, hey, what are you doing? Instead of this, it's just
Well,
I'm super happy he's
he
gone.
clearly wanted to get this off of his chest and out there and
Of
out there. But
course.
yeah, I mean, honestly, when I heard he was on McAfee yesterday, I had a conversation with my bosses because, like, is he mine still to write, or is somebody else going to write it? Like, is it because if he's on there talking about going to the Steelers, that's not really my purview anymore. And I kind of said this. I'm like, wow, I really don't think they're going to talk about the Jets much. I think they'll be talking about his future. And I was wrong. They talked about the Jets a lot. So yeah.
I'd be stupid not to try. So I'm going to try Aaron Rodgers, Joe Douglas. Who was the bigger leak?
Yeah, I'm not guessing at any leaks. That's a ridiculous game. Yeah, because no one knows. Like I'll tell you guys. Like sometimes.
Oh no, I think so. I think people know, but
I mean, people have
understand.
guesses. People have guesses. No one knows. No one admits to being a leak, right? Like no one admits it. So people have guesses. I'll say this about Joe Douglas. I do not think Joe Douglas had anything to do with that stuff. Joe Douglas was not bitter at all when this went down. Joe Douglas acknowledges his mistakes when you talk to him privately, and Joe, he knows what went wrong, and I think Joe was relieved when he got fired. I think he knew it was coming after Robert got fired, and I think he was kind of relieved when it went down. And I don't think Joe was bitter and looking to get revenge on the Jets. I'll say that.
Agree with you. Thanks, Kaz.
Kaz, you left out that one big win. He had 6 wins.
I said no. I'm not counting Buffalo. I said that. I'm not counting Buffalo in 2023, Pete.
Kaz,
that's a Zach Wilson win, Pete.
I agree, Brian. Brian, this thing is over now, obviously, but do you think there's going to be a cloud hanging over now with Rodgers going into next year?
No,
like in this season?
No, like I said, I think it'll only come up if they play. Like if he goes to Pittsburgh and they play, that week is going to be all about Aaron Rodgers. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and I'll be at the front of that train. I'm not going to lie to you. That's going to be a great, great, great story. So, but other than that, Pete, I mean, look, you never know with Rodgers. If he does go somewhere, he could do an interview with a national reporter that comes through and say something about the Jets again. Like it could crop up again, but I don't think this is going to be a cloud or anything. I don't think it's going to be a constant.
Yeah,
Hey,
June, go
cause
ahead.
I look for the Steelers versus Jets. That's gonna be a prime time game now. Promise you, prime time game. It's gonna have a whole lot of
Yeah, yeah. If
storylines.
he's there, for sure.
Yeah, Cos, before I let you run, I couldn't stop laughing when you said to Glenn you couldn't pronounce
Oh
Okafor's
yeah,
name,
yeah,
and Cos, that was classic you. And then even Glenn agreed with you. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not going down that." But at least way to break the ice on the coach, Cos. You actually got a chuckle out of him, which
yeah.
is hard to get out of Glenn. But Cos, going back real quick to the press conference, I mean, this guy's going to have the attention of all the players for sure. Now, do they buy in is the question, but can you see the players like getting frustrated with him right away if they don't win
Yes,
this year? Or
yeah. Because like I said, it reminds me of Mangini a little bit, and the players got very frustrated with Mangini. Now look, when Mangini was in a different era, there was not as many rules, and Mangini, a lot of the rules that are instituted now are because of Mangini. So, like he flouted some of the time limits and things like that. So I think Len could be different in that way because he's a former player. So I think he'll have respect for players' time and things like that. But yeah, like look, Pete, when you don't win, everything sucks. The food sucks, the weight room sucks, the locker room sucks, the coach sucks, everything sucks. So like that's part of the problem that's been with the Jets for a long time now is right. Like it just the frustration just creeps in that building. And like I know we talked about like Garrett Wilson a lot last year. I don't think Garrett Wilson's issues were necessarily all about Aaron Rodgers or all about um, Todd Downing or Nate Hackett. I think his biggest issue was they sucked. They were losing. And I think it's driving him crazy. I think these guys want to win. So if Aaron Glenn comes in and they start winning, I think he'll have everyone behind him. If they're losing, he's gonna have work to do.
Cause I'm shocked at the review the Jets food got because that food is good when they feed us, man.
Yeah, it is. And so I guess what I was told is they cut down on like the variety of food that the players got. So they scaled back last year, and that was kind of what they were complaining about was they used to have a lot more variety, and they kind of got rid of some stuff. But yeah, I'm with you, Pete. Anytime I get fed there, it's delicious. I always tell the chef there that she's the best person at her job in the Jets building. So
Cause we argue in here a lot, and one of them is about the tweeting from the players. With Glenn here, does that stop? Because
uh,
I like a lot of us say that's a thing, and some of us I don't care.
yeah, I don't think you can.
Does the tweeting
I don't
stop?
think you can stop it. Honestly, like you can't control what players do in their own time.
Well, they did with Quinnen, right? That he definitely got his hand smacked for that. Oh,
Yeah, you
great,
can
another
smack their
rebuild
hands.
tweet.
You can tell them like you don't like it and they can delete it. But I don't think you can't tell them they can't tweet. Like you just can't tell them that. I don't think they can do what they want in their free time.
I don't think any other team does more of it than our team.
I don't know. You guys are hyper focused on your team. You're not focused on everybody else. I mean, like look at like the Cowboys have a ton of crap always going on. Like I mean, not just one that comes to mind. They have podcasters and tweeters. Like
Yeah.
they always have a lot going on. I think it's this generation, right? That's how they communicate. That's what they're used to. It doesn't happen if it's not on social media. So I don't think you'll ever really put an end to it. I'm sure he's going to discourage it. I'm sure he doesn't love it, but I don't think you can really stop it for sure.
Yeah, Cause I know you got to run. Joe, close us out, and then I'll send Brian.
Real quick, Kaz, real fast before you leave. Do you see an extension between Wilson or Sauce before
Yeah.
the season? I mean, I would say Wilson, right? Not Sauce, but do you
I
see
actually
one of them at
disagree, Joe. I
least?
think Sauce is the one. Yeah, yeah, because it's
Really?
to me Sauce is easy. Sauce is a two-time All Pro.
But last year was
Yeah,
such an off
but
year
but
for
you
him. He's got
but
a
you
lot
saw
to
those
prove
first two
this year.
years, Joe. Like it's how many players
I was never
are
a big
first team All
fan.
Pro their first 2
I know,
years? Like it's
I know, because these guys in here will tell you, I was never a fan of his. I thought he holds too much.
yeah.
He's two handed, and they're
I
calling
think
it now and then.
Sauce.
He
I think
grabs too
Sauce is
much.
easy because he's two times first team All Pro. I think the it's pretty easy to say, okay, here's what Stingley got. He's a comparable player to Stingley, right? Stingley didn't have the same first 2 years Sauce did. He had a better year last year than Sauce. I give him what Stingley got a little bit more, and I call it a day. Garrett to me is much tougher because he's not Jamar Chase, he's not Justin Jefferson, right? So that's the top of the market. Where do you see him slotting in? Where does Garrett see himself slotting in? Is he going to be content with $30 million a year? Does he want more? Do the Jets want to do less? I think that's a much more difficult negotiation, Joe. I think it's a hard about Garrett. I think Garrett's a fantastic player, but Garrett has not proven himself to be like a top 5 wide receiver yet.
Absolutely. I can real fast. I mean, the thing about Sauce, is to me he's not a playmaker. One, he's not a playmaker. He doesn't get any picks. Athletically, he's not great. He doesn't tackle. And as far as Wilson's concerned, either one of these guys, Cos, was up to me. I wouldn't sign either one. I want to win, man. Give me guys who can win. We still
Yeah.
lose with these guys. So you know what? To me, you could take them, you could let them go to free agent. I could care less. I have no allegiance anymore, Cos. I want to win. I'm tired of it. These guys have given me nothing as far as wins are concerned. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think they're both
Thanks.
good players, Joe. I do, and I think they're good guys in the locker room. So I wouldn't. I would probably try to get an extension done. And I think too, with the cap is going up every year, so I'm not so worried about what it's doing to your cap. Usually these things are like 2 years, and then let's see when you really look at the contract. So I think you could do that. They're both young. They're not going to want to sign deals that lock them in for 5 years or anything. They're going to want another bite at the apple. So I think you could get something done. With both of them if you want to. I do not know what Muji and Glenn, how high they are on them. Glenn spoke highly of both of them at the meeting. So, and he keeps saying they don't want to let good players leave the building, and that seems like Glenn's one of his goals is to keep good Jets players in the building. I think these two are good Jets players, and I just think at some point, Joe, you got to keep your young players here. You guys have seen too many Jets
I know
players
that, but
leave.
you want to give Sauce $100 million. I look at him last year. I know last year's last year. Look at that tape from last year. I wouldn't even give him. I'd give him the minimum, let
He
alone give him
wasn't
anything.
that bad.
He was horrible.
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
he was good. How about that New England? How about that New England game late in the game? He gets beat over the middle for a touchdown. Like we said, that stiff receiver on New England. Never even heard of the guy. He was getting beat left and right in that game. I mean, come on. He's supposed to be a top receiver, a top. He's not. I'm
He's
sorry, but
not that bad. He's not as bad as you're
I'm not.
saying, Joe.
Yeah.
I think he would admit he had a down year. I think Glenn can help him, right? I think Glenn, obviously played the position. He's going to help him. I think I'm curious to see him in a different scheme if he gets more interceptions in this scheme. We'll see. But if you wanted to kick it till next year, I think you can. But I could see something getting done for them this year.
Brian, I was hoping you told Joe, "Let's go Mets," but
Oh, Pete, you're relentless.
but yeah. Anyway, Kaz, I know you got to run.
Yep.
We'll talk to you either next
All
week
right.
or the week after the draft. I didn't want to get into the
Wait, wait,
draft. Go ahead, June.
no, I'm just gonna say, Jetstream got one
Sure.
last question. If
Can you
he's
do
not
it,
Yeah.
Kaz?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Go ahead, Jetstream. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Cool. How you doing, Cos? Nice to talk to
Yeah.
you. I did have a question because we don't really get a chance to talk to reporters too many times, but I've been a fan over 4 decades. And one thing that's constant to me is, and it's aggravating. I don't want to speak for the space here, but for me as a fan and a lot of fans that I know, just want to preface it with that. The New York media has a reputation that precedes itself as far as the way they cover our athletes here in New York. But as a Jet fan, we've had it bad for almost my entire life, except for a few seasons here and there. With the reporting and coverage on the Jets, it just seems that they get crapped on. It's just negative story after negative story, and it just compounds. Like we're having a bad season, and all of the coverage seems to be just trashing on the Jets to make it worse. Do you think that? And I understand you guys have to have like journalistic integrity and just call it how you see it, but it just seems like it's overwhelmingly negative on a yearly basis, no matter who's here. Because when you have a new regime that comes in, it's always a honeymoon phase where everyone's getting along and everyone's polite and nice to each other. And even when Aaron Rodgers came in here, and I remember the interview he gave, and it was just like all pleasantries and just trying to get along. Do you think that has played a part with Aaron Glenn coming here hot and combative right off the jump because he played here and he's experienced it himself firsthand as a player?
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, I think like I said before, the new regime always tries to do the opposite of the old regime, right? And so Saleh was probably too friendly with the media in the eyes of some people with the Jets, and so there probably was a discussion of let's not do that. But I think this is how Aaron Glenn wants to approach it. And Parcells was prickly with the media, right? But Parcells also was great with the media at times. So we'll see how Aaron Glenn plays out. I would disagree with that it's always negative. I mean, we kind of reflect what's going on. There hasn't been a lot of positive to write about in a long time with this team. And I would go back to like when the Jets were in the playoffs with Rex, like they were the toast of the town, and it was all positive then. It was all good stuff, and I know Rex has. We did a cover for the Post that you probably have seen of Star Wars before they played the Patriots, right? With Rex was, I think Rex was Han Solo or Luke Skywalker, and Mangold was an Ewok, and Belichick was Darth Vader. Rex had that framed in his office forever, right? Like that. So like what I tell people when they come here and they ask about New York, it's a little louder here both ways. So if you're winning, you get overhyped, right? Like that happens completely here. If you're losing, the sky is falling. So it's just that the Jets haven't had the winning side in a long time. And so you guys are just kind of, stuck in the negativity. And if you're a fan, I think you said 4 decades, like there's been a lot of negativity in the late 80s and early 90s. And, it hasn't been a lot of positive stuff, but it can be just as amplified here when it's good as when it's bad. It just hasn't been good in a while. And I tell, like I always say to guys, like, you're not going to be dressed up as Luke Skywalker in Jacksonville on the newspaper, right? Like that only happens in New York. The back pages only happen in New York. The passion is different here and in the Northeast, than other places. So I think I don't think Glenn is that calculated about it. I think this is just kind of how he wants to approach it. And like I said, we'll if he wins, everyone's going to love it. If he loses, people are going to hate it, and that's just how it goes.
Thanks,
Cool.
Cos.
Yep.
Thank you,
Uh,
bud.
yeah, I know Brian's got to run. Brian, enjoy Easter. We'll talk to you in a couple of week
All
or so.
right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a
Have a
great
good
day.
one, guys.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Cos had to run. All right, there you have it.
We took.
Now look. I'm gonna say this. Me judging what I've seen over the past years from Aaron Rodgers. There is no way in hell after you let Aaron Rodgers go and you and you turn around and ask him to pick his brain, he's not gonna tell you shit.
Why would you want to?
Right?
Yep.
Like it's no way that's gonna happen.
Like, why would you want to pick his brain?
No, Petey, we tried to. No, I'm sorry, I joined in a little late. Petey, we tried to tell. Well, at least I did. I tried to tell you about this during the offseason. Now I know a lot of you guys
No,
didn't
no,
listen.
no, 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 no. We did. You're right
Yep.
because if you remember, 34th team said we kept saying, "Yo, he's gonna talk bad about us." And
Yep.
and and Petey, all you kept saying was, "Nah, nah, not him, not him."
It's not done yet either.
No, it's
Oh,
June,
it's
not.
not done.
yes,
His
June,
coochie's
you're
hurt.
right. Yeah, I did say no, but now
Yeah,
I'm going to push back. I'm pushing back on it. You can't say, "Oh, the Jets made me fly out here and
yep,
freaking
yep.
and on my
He's an
dime."
asshole.
Get
I
We
mean,
out of
look,
told
here,
you.
man.
We told you it would happen, bro.
Okay.
I told
I
It would.
I I I
Petey,
thought I can I just say one
yeah,
thing,
go ahead,
Jarek?
go
I
ahead.
just based this on when he was saying how his time here was the best 2 years of his life. I didn't think, but hey, I was wrong. He did it, and I'm going to trash him for it.
Yep.
You can't do that. The Jets
Classless.
catered. The Jets freaking catered to this guy.
Yes, classless,
Petey,
bro.
how
I
can you even take him
Can I?
seriously, though? How could this
Facts.
last 2 years be the best time of his life? A torn Achilles, 5 wins, a shit team, leaking, firing, coaches fired, coordinators fired. Like, how is that the best? It was the worst time.
Because he broke his
He's
record.
a disingenuous dude,
Yes,
man.
yes.
okay.
This is all true, but I think the biggest coward, the elephant in the room, is Woody. And he knew from the get go Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers
I
was not
right.
coming back. He should have handled it when he got rid of the coaches. Say, listen, the team is going in another direction, and Aaron Rodgers isn't
Yeah.
coming
Well, that
back. Woody's
Hector, to be
coward.
fair, I wanted to ask Kaz that, and I actually forgot. See, I don't write down any questions to ask these guys.
Right. And
I
I'm
wanted
trying.
to ask.
I couldn't find
Yeah,
the hand button because I
I
was going to
wanted to
ask
ask
it.
Kaz personally. I'm like, Kaz, I know you have a good relationship with Woody, and I know Kaz wouldn't trash Woody, but When
Right.
is Woody just going to step away and not get involved in all this? Because he's got to know
He's
Jet
the one,
fans
right?
don't like him, and
Right.
I know they don't
Right.
care.
And he's the one that's right.
Jarek was going to say something.
He also
Yeah,
said
go ahead,
this
Jared.
was the best Jet team ever assembled. He kept telling us that right before the Devontae trade. Remember?
Yes.
And now he's nowhere to be found, our
Well,
owner.
he barely speaks though. But
Yep.
Jarek, go ahead. I interrupted you. My bad.
Well, but he does intertwine, at the stadium,
But he has to do
at
that.
all
He's
the,
going to show his face at the
yeah,
stadium.
yep.
Jarek,
But he's nowhere to be found on the
Jay,
big
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
scene.
Jay.
Yeah,
He
I, w-
courted him, right, Petey?
He
yeah, I
what?
was.
He courted him. He flew out there. He couldn't stop talking about Rodgers. He should have taken care of this.
Yeah,
That's
he
all I'm
should have.
saying. Rodgers had to go. Rodgers should have go. All I'm saying is Woody should have
I
handled it.
agree. Jarek, go ahead.
No, I was about to say real quick, man. We tried to tell you this in July. Like this was back during the Egypt period. I mean, we know the type of person that Aaron Rodgers was,
Yep.
and I know a lot of you guys. You just had hope and hope that he could try to go up there and change the culture. But yeah, man, like he's an asshole,
Yep.
and that's just not like that's just how it is.
Yeah. And look, and I'll go on record by saying, if PD knows, I didn't want Aaron Rodgers because I said it comes with too much. I knew it came with too much, and he's doing exactly what I thought he would do in every way,
To
with
the
the
T,
team,
dude. To
without
the
the
T.
team. It's crazy,
To the
crazy
T.
to the team.
He'll and here's the thing. I don't think, be honest with you, y'all all assuming Pittsburgh didn't watch this and like, what the fuck? That is a well-run
That's a good
organization.
question. That's
I'm
a
telling
good
you,
point right there.
Tomlin see
Good
that.
point.
What's the name of the family? Because the family owns it.
The
It's not
Rooney.
one dude. The
Hmm.
Moonies look. They thought, oh hell no. He's not Steelers. I'm telling you, do not be surprised. Next Thursday, Pittsburgh is going to. They are either going to dump a massive trade to get as high as they can go, or they're going to get lucky and
They're,
trade at
they
9. They're going to get their
if the
quarterback.
Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna get knocked out because that's that
Yep.
like those, that locker room doesn't play. That's like that's a locker room
Nope.
full of crash outs. One of those
Well,
dudes will
see,
get
and I'm
knocked out.
also thinking, Rodgers knows that, and that's why he didn't sign with him. He does not want to go to Pittsburgh.
Hey,
Oh,
He
oh,
knows that's
listen,
the only
their O
listen,
option.
line sucks too, man. It
listen.
sucks.
You don't forget. You remember Cam Haywood had said something about him.
He already said
Like,
it. Put
look,
up a
what you gonna
shutter.
do?
We ain't got time for this.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think he's like, and not personal, and I'm not trying to make it light of this. All of a sudden now he's got a lot of personal issues. He's going to probably retire
Yeah,
because he couldn't get to Minnesota, and he doesn't want to look like that. He got rejected because, as you can see, he can't take rejection
at all,
at all.
at all. He had no need to bring that up, but he wanted to do it.
He had
He
to save
wanted to do that.
face. He wanted to save face, and his boyfriend McAfee, he was going to do it because he
Of
knows
course,
that's click.
of
So I'm not
course.
even mad at McAfee. I would have did the same thing.
That's a great
He should
point.
go play for the Mets.
Let him
Whack.
bet behind Soto. He'll
Whack. Hold on one
wait,
second.
wait.
Joe Felipe, you came up. I never heard from you. How are you? If you want to talk, do you know how to come up? You want to talk?
Yeah, I was going to ask Cos because I hopped on late if there was any conversation about Tyler Warren, but I figured I would just ask you guys now if anything came up about it.
No. Joe, to be fair, I kind of stayed away from the draft. Because Kaz, I asked him last minute, so I just wanted to get this fresh stuff out. So
Sure.
yeah, he did not mention that at all. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Hey, Petey.
as far as Rogers goes, I could care less about him. Like he's gone. Let's just move on.
For
Yeah.
real.
He's embarrassing himself more than anything.
I agree, Joe.
He's so unclass. Like there's no class in him, man. He's super petty. He he's a narcissistic, petty human being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that Jets don't want to talk back about what he had to say because that's just falling into his what he wants. He wants them to clap back.
Yeah.
So don't do it. I hope they don't do it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
sure
think
they're
they
not
will.
going to. Yeah,
Well, I'm
Aaron.
sure one of the reporters will ask about the Rogers thing next week before the draft, and let's see if they comment.
PD, what do you think about just kind of the conversation? What do you think about Costello's comments about Garrett Wilson? Because I do agree with him. I think that contract is going to be a little harder and difficult, especially if you can't get on this, especially if you can't get it done this offseason. If Garrett Wilson just has let's just say he has a great season.
It
What
doesn't
stops
get less complicated though. It just gets more and more complicated, more and more. There's no
right?
scenario where his contract gets lower. That's why the Sauce one, I would get Garrett done. I think you got all the time in the world with Sauce. That market's not
I
going to get
agree.
away.
I agree.
The cornerback market can only go so high. The wide
Well, yeah.
receiver market,
How much is the cornerback market going up? Because
it's not.
it just got reset. So
Yeah.
the wide receiver thing got reset, but Garrett Wilson's not Jamar Chase or in the
Unless Sertan,
conversation.
Petey, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how long ago he signed. Unless he comes out, or Gonzalez, if he puts together like an All-Pro year this year, that market's not going anywhere, man. And you're not gonna. There's no
If
corners that are
Gonzalez
going to get paid $35 million
if
anytime soon. It's
Gonzalez
not
just
happening.
has this, if he has the same season he did last time, he's gonna get 30 million. We,
Sure,
yeah, he's
but
gonna get 30.
that's the top of the market. Like
Yeah.
that position is not going to become a $35 million market, man. Not anytime soon.
But again, no one thought that the market was going to get to 30 million this year. It got pushed up by $9 million.
I get you. And again, some of that has to do because the cap keeps going up, right? And it's gone to wide receivers. It's gone to quarterbacks have been wild, wild. But I just
Yeah.
I would be unafraid, even if Sauce puts an All Pro season. What can he ask for? 32.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
don't
I
let
still, I,
Garrett
okay,
put that
I
up.
still, I still think $35 million.
But I'll tell you right
I
now,
don't.
if Garrett
Especially if he
goes
has an
out there,
All Pro
PD,
season. If he has an
Yeah.
All Pro, if he has another All Pro season, that's three All Pros in 4 years. He's gonna have to. He's definitely gonna have to 35
but
million.
All
here's
right,
the thing though,
Jared.
Jarek. If Garrett goes out and puts 14, 15 with Fields, he's going to ask for 37 million,
and,
38
and,
million.
and, and this is why it's tough. This is why I asked the question, because what if what if we have a scenario where they both have phenomenal seasons and they both have all pro caliber years? You have two receivers. I mean, you have one that's definitely going to reset the market either way. But depending on the season that he goes, he could definitely ask for a little bit more, way more money, because he knows that the market will offer him that money.
Yep.
And then
I'll
you have
pay
Sterling.
Garrett now, man.
You're like, yeah, that's why I just asked the question.
You really expect Garrett Wilson to have a big year? I mean, he couldn't do it with Aaron Rodgers.
Go look
He's
at
gonna
DJ Moore's
No,
year,
no,
Joe.
he's
no.
gonna
Look,
have a
yeah, you got to watch DJ
he's
Moore,
gonna have
man.
with a guy who can't. Justin Fields can't throw the
No,
football.
no, no,
Go
no,
look
He
at
no,
can't
no,
play.
no,
DJ
no,
Moore's
no, no,
year.
no.
Go look at DJ Moore's
Look at
year.
DJ Moore and how many yards he had.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like the one thing about Justin Fields I don't trust. He doesn't throw the ball to a spot. Like he doesn't throw you a ball to a spot, and then you're there. Like he has to. I just don't trust him
Hey,
enough.
hey, hey,
That's
hey,
why I
hey,
don't think Garrett Wilson has a big. I don't think he has 1,000 yards this
hey,
year.
hey,
To be
hey,
honest.
hey, Joe. You know me and you agree on a lot of shit, Joe. Trust me on this right here. This might be the best year that Garrett Wilson had. And you know
I,
how I
I
feel
don't love
about him.
Garrett Wilson, man. I don't love him.
Look,
He's
I
a
don't
good
either,
receiver.
and you know how I feel about him. Me and you,
He's too
we
small.
agree.
He's too skinny.
We,
I don't.
we, we agree. But one thing I can say is I believe he's going to have his best season as a pro with Justin Fields. I do.
I mean, Justin Fields to me is going to be a lot about RPOs, a lot of play action, nothing really long downfield. And unless you get another good receiver, they're going to double Garrett every game. So I don't know. Josh Reynolds, is he going to be the guy who's going to make it?
Nah,
You
that
know,
nah, nah.
Yeah, but
The Jets
Joe,
will
to be
draft
fair,
somebody.
go ahead, June.
No, I'm
Well,
just saying that the
Ju-
Jets going to draft him. They're going to
yeah,
draft
but
a wide
a
receiver.
third round pick is not going to be a guy. Garrett Wilson's going to be double teamed every guy. I would double team him. Why not? Take him
yeah,
Absolutely.
but
away.
Joe, to be fair though, if they do double Garrett, to be fair,
Yeah.
that's one less guy in the box, and Justin Fields is a bigger threat to run the ball. No, that would help
No,
actually.
no, you're right. I mean, I look not for nothing. I think it's going to be a lot of. I think it's going to be a lot of zone against Justin Fields. Because why would you play man? The minute you turn your back, he could take off and go for a touchdown.
Yeah, Nelson, you came up. We're coming up on the hour.
Hey
What's
guys,
up?
good morning.
And
No,
then
I'm
Neil.
sorry. It's good to see
No,
you
no,
guys.
no. Don't
What's
be
going on,
sorry,
brother?
man. What's up?
Listen, I just think that Rodgers is sour grapes, man, because he got released by them. Just like you got blackballed. A bad team just released a Hall of Fame quarterback. Shouldn't that be like a sign that you finished?
Yep, you right now.
I think that he's just mad. He's pissed off probably because he got because they released him after that meeting. I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
And then what the heck he's talking about on his dime? Doesn't he has a home in Jersey?
Yes,
It's
he
not like he
does.
went to.
In
It's not like he's in freaking. He's in the desert.
in
So he
Montclair.
has a place to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I got tired of Rodgers, man. You know, I did. And especially hearing the interview yesterday. I mean, good riddance. Because I don't think they intended to fly him in there to tell him that, you know what, we don't want you back. I think that they wanted to hear him. And then, like you said, guys, that was the question when Aaron Glenn asked him,
He said
did
he's
you want to play?
interested. Yep.
Like, no, 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 no. That's it. We had that song and dance,
Mm-hmm.
and now you see all these teams going to the same song and dance. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
brother, just decide you're gonna play or not. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's it. To me, I think he's just sour grapes. He's pissed off that a bad team released him.
He gets a kick out of this because once again, out of everything he said, everything he spoke on, he still didn't give an answer. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And then he gave the answer to the Jets around this time, right? This is when they made the trade, right? 2 years ago, around the draft time, just before the draft, that
Yes,
they finally made that trade.
yes,
Come
yes.
on, just make it happen already. I don't know who he's gonna go to,
Good,
but
good
I
Bro,
love
point,
Rodgers.
Nelson. Great
he
points.
he wants to be the spotlight, man. He wants to be the talk of the day. That's all he want to do, bro. He don't really care about that shit, man.
Neil, what's going on? And then Joe,
Yeah, man.
and then Jetstream and Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, happy Friday,
What's
everyone.
going
But I
on,
was just
Neil?
gonna say, Aaron Rodgers. This is who he's always
Yeah.
been. He's gonna announce that he's gonna retire or play with the Steelers next Thursday, 6 o'clock, so that they're all talking about him leading up to the
Yeah.
draft. That's the kind of guy
That's
he
what he
is.
is.
You know, he's always been this guy. He used to be good at football. Now he's average at football at best. Like, that's the difference. But I was going to say, on the contract extensions, one thing to keep in mind is, with any young players that you're trying to lock up long term, you're definitely going to want to get those deals done before ESPN buys the NFL Network, because if that goes through, the word on the street is that every team's cap's going to jump between 35 and $40 million. And, to Jarek's point, like, 36 $40 million seems like it's crazy, but if the cap goes up 20%, so do the expectations of the agents, right? So I would try to get ahead of that as much as possible and get players like Sauce and Garrett locked down if that's what you're trying to do. The longer you wait, the more that price tag is.
Wow. ESPN is
Neil, I agree with that.
ESPN is buying NFL Network.
Yeah, it's pretty close, I
Wow.
think.
Yep.
So
That's what I'm
ESPN will
saying.
have Monday night and Thursday night still. They'll have Thursday night.
You
Or
mean
will
Disney, not
Amazon?
ESPN.
Right.
Yeah,
It's Disney.
It's Disney.
Right.
Yeah,
not
Disney. Yeah,
Thursday night.
Disney.
What will NFL Network usually has what game? It depends, right? Like
It's
somebody
Thursday
was,
night. They have
yeah,
Thursday night.
right.
But Amazon got
that's
it, right?
Amazon. That's Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amazon got it. They had games at the end of the season. Didn't they have the London games as well? The 9:30 a.m. games.
Yes,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what they got. They got the early overseas games.
I kind of hate that personally, because I actually enjoy NFL Network's production more than ESPN.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, they're on all the time too, right?
Netflix.
Neil,
Netflix is
they
trying
took
to.
a little bit of a break.
Netflix is. I mean, Netflix. They had. I think they had the Christmas game, but Netflix. They're trying to get more into the mix because like they're trying to get the UFC. Uh, their contract with ESPN goes up or Disney goes up, so now Netflix could buy them. Like Netflix is trying to do college football, so we got to watch out
What?
for that as well.
They trying to do
Yeah.
college
Uh,
football. That's crazy.
Jetstream, yeah, guys. If you're not subscribed to Jetstream on YouTube,
Yes,
he's a
sir.
big Yankee and
Yes,
Jet
sir.
fan. Subscribe
Yes,
to him, and
sir.
yeah,
Yes,
he's
sir.
got a lot of good Mets content on there too.
Do,
Go ahead.
do yourself a favor and subscribe to the Met Jet. I mean Met Jet. To the Yankee Jet guy. Petey, stop with that Met shit, please.
Thank you for the plug, Petey.
Yeah, no problem.
Uh, I was gonna say,
Did I make
yeah,
you
too,
lose your train of thought there?
yeah, yeah. I had to sneeze and laugh at the same time. It's like not medically
Oh yeah.
sound. Um, I think Joe was the one speaking before. I just want to point out, like, I understand concerns about the Jets offense because it's brand new. Like, we've never had this. The offense we're going to run, like you said, with the RPOs, heavy running game. We've never seen this offense with a mobile quarterback, so there's going to be like reservations and doubts. But don't get scared about it. I want to be a little more positive about it. When you're talking about Garrett Wilson, take into account that he played with Justin Fields. He has experience with him, right? And he was ultra successful at Ohio State. That's number one. Number two, Garrett Wilson has not gotten faster or grown since Ohio State when they played together. So he's been just fine as a Jet. He's had 1,000 yards or more in every season. He hasn't had less than 83 catches. He's been productive. He's got great hands. He runs great routes, and he just makes stuff happen. So I just wanted to touch on that point to where I don't want you to be like, oh, Garrett Wilson, is not going to be able to play with Justin Fields. That's not going to be the case. They're going to have to respect his mobility. And yeah, I think I'm looking for Jaden Higgins in round 2 to get another receiver as a threat. But the Jets, we don't have any deep speed, which we have to address. And Garrett Wilson doesn't have deep speed, but
No,
he's still been very successful for the Jets in his 3 years. So it's not going to change. And now without Devontae and with the lack of options, he's going to be the number one option every time. He's going to get ultra targeted and he's going to be
Yep.
successful. So
Yeah, well, he was, he
prepare him.
was, he didn't have Devontae before that, and his targets were still up. Jetstream, good point. Like, look,
Right.
he got the ball a lot in year 1 and 2, and definitely last year too until Adams came here, and he still had a high share of targets even when Adams came here.
Yeah, he had 154 last year. So, and that's with Devontae. What was Devontae here? 11 games, maybe? It was about 11, I think.
what 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 was his first game? Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because
10 or 11.
He lost to him 2 weeks, 2 games in a row with the Raiders and the
Right.
Jets. Yeah, and when Devontae got here, Garrett Wilson averaged like 2.3 to 2.5 less targets a game, but he
Yep.
still got a lot of targets. Now he'll be the primary guy at all times, and they'll have to defend him, and that might open up the other guys. It's going to be a new offense, but everyone I just think is scared because we've never seen it before. But I've been dying for a mobile quarterback that could pick up 3rd-and-1s, 3rd-and-2s. The receiver's not open. We got a guy that could take off and make something out of nothing. This is going to be a new wrinkle that Jet fans have never seen, and I'm here for it.
We
Let's
never had
go.
one. Right.
Yep.
We never had
Nelson.
a mobile quarterback.
No, I know. I mean, Michael Vick, but that lasted 3 games or whatever.
Yeah, quickly. I heard Eric Allen's podcast, the Jets podcast, and he had McConnell and Ben Johnson. They both spoke highly of Tanner. So I'm looking forward to the game plan that he has for the offense.
Yeah, let's see. I'm not as
Yeah.
down on the Jets yet, but you know, next week, guys, is the draft, so it'll ramp
Petey, are
up
you going
again
to
for a little
the
bit.
draft party at MetLife? Do you ever go
Pro-
to that?
Probably not, but
I went there the first year they had it.
yeah, I have a
As a
couple
building.
extra
I'm like,
tickets if anybody's interested in Family Day at Florham Park. So hit me up if you guys, want to go. That's on the Saturday right after the draft. I
Nice.
believe it's from 11 to 3. All right, guys. June, as always, thanks. Have a great day, guys. Appreciate Kaz coming in, Jetstream.
Oh yeah,
Happy
now,
brother.
Easter.
wait. Hold on, Pete. Before you close out, real quick. Once again, Jetstream has a new video about. What was that video about that you had put up yesterday? The about Soto throwing who under the bus?
Pete Alonso. Yeah, yeah.
Pete Alonso. Now, it's funny about that. Real quick, Pete. Uh, weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, I made a comment to my friend Petey about the Mets and as far as Pete Alonso batting behind him, and I was maliciously verbally attacked about my take. Now my take proves to be true. All right, that's it. Small victory lap. Continue, Petey.
Petey, I'm in Jersey. Can I go to Family Day?
Petey's muted.
Is he there?
Can you
It's got
guys
his
hear me?
mic. Yeah, gotcha, Petey.
Yeah, I had a call. What was that?
Petey, I'm in Jersey. Can I go to Family Day in Florham Park?
You want to go?
Don't let that. He's fucking with you, man. Don't listen to
You
him.
don't think I know Whittle's messing with me?
Fucking guys,
I think it'd be nice to take the kids out there, man. You know.
man. Look, go to Buffalo Park.
Petey,
Happy
we can
Easter,
meet
guys.
up, man. Bring the kids, man. We'll meet up.
Go to Orchard Park.
Well, I'm working on stuff, so we'll talk, man. All right, June. Thank you. Jetstream. I gotta close. Medic,
Happy Easter,
Buckeye,
guys.
Jarek. You too. Nelson,
Happy
Hector.
Easter, Jet family.
Showtime.
Yep. Happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bill Fallon. I see Tall Sean in here. Neek, Aaron, Renzel, Rudy Jr. Have a good day, guys. Go
Hey,
Jets.
Good
Jared,
weekend.
Buckeye, what do we do?
Tearing it
Tear it
down
down.
and trade
Tear it
Brees.
down.
Yankees
Trade.
Trade
play.
Breeze.
Go
Trade
Bills.
Soto. Go, get out of here, man.
Wide right.
Go Bills.
Go Yankees.
He said wide right.
Uh,
Good day, guys.
hey, Petey, I'm gonna hit you up
Later,
real
Petey.
quick.
Yeah.
All right.